George. That was a blur. It was a great night, I'm sure it was, but that was a blur. We did Revenge of the Sith. We did all the prequels, actually. And we are sort of like dipping our toes back in the same realm of the prequels. As you can see from the top, we're talking about Star Wars Clone Wars, not the Clone Wars, which is a very different TV series. We're not talking about the CGI one. This was the OG. This is going to be a trip down memory lane. This was a cartoon series very near and dear to both of our hearts, I'm sure, when it came out. This originally came out in a run from 2003 to 2005. This is the, oh God, I'm going to try and pronounce this. At least I'm doing this while I'm sober. Genndy Tartakovsky. He did Samurai Jack, Dexter's Laboratory, and of course this one. This for many years was considered canon. This was your Clone Wars, and you had them in two very handy volumes, which I have right here. Managed to fish these out for today. I've got my volume 1 and my volume 2. We're not watching these on DVD. Disney have been very kind to put these on Disney Plus. So if you are watching tonight and you do have Disney Plus, which let's face it, pretty much the entire world does now at this point, you will find them very handily in, well, basically the two volumes on here. We've got 70 minutes for the first one, volume 1, and 64 minutes for the second one. I'm going to read out the synopsis just before we jump into it. I'm going to pass over to George though now, but I guess, is this sort of like an early celebration for May the 4th? And we're doing it on May the 2nd, because that's how we do things.
Yeah, it's a weird one, because we've got obviously Goldfinger coming out on Tuesday, and I was like, oh no, May the 4th's taken. We're not going to moan because it's James Bond, but we're kind of, I think Disney added these last month, a couple of, like 2-3 weeks ago, if that, and it's right up memory lane. Like, you've got your copies there. I know that I've got volume 1. It's somewhere over there under the bed. It's like one of the DVD cases I kept, which is a conversation for another time. But we just kind of thought, we did those Drinkalongs last year, and we can't top them, not until there's another trilogy later on this year, which I'm more than happy to say. And we were just thinking, we're not really doing anything May the 4th. I know with The Mandalorian, but we've not really done much Star Wars stuff. I was like, why don't we do something different and do another Drinkalong? And to the point of the Drinkalong, this isn't as they were last year. We don't have 10 rules, which we must abide by. This is a very chilled out, we're just going to drink and watch it. We're not going to get absolutely monstrosity battered like we were at. Yeah, and in Scooby-Doo, we were all pretty much, I think we were all sober in truth at the end of Scooby-Doo. I don't remember that being particularly perilous, but this is one where we spoke before. There could be some rules if we wanted to follow any of you guys at home. Which Chris has mentioned. So we're not going to be following rules, but we could have rules if we wanted to. I think that's a really big thing. Obviously, this is split in two. This is volume 1 and volume 2. So there will be a 5-minute gap or at least maybe like a 2-minute gap or something in between them, so we can get them loaded, because it is 2 hours 25, I think, total, which is almost as long as Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Just a couple of minutes longer, maybe. So this is going to be really different. But before we get into it, we've got a lot of people in the comments. We've got Carl. Thank you for joining us, Carl. We've got JX, and we've got Dave. Exactly. We got Disney Plus on my phone. Have this on. Absolutely. This is going to be a great way to demonstrate once again how Disney own everything by getting us to do these Drinkalongs. And I will say, before I say the socials, fair play to them for promoting the old school stuff, the pre takeover stuff, the old canon. I know that there's going to be a couple of other series coming out later on this year, but I'd imagine I'm excited to kind of rewatch this. But before we do, I want to know your thoughts on the original Clone Wars, not the new ones. Maybe compare the two. Who knows? We'll probably talk about it across the next couple of hours, but can't believe your thoughts. If you've never seen this on the channel, if you've never seen these, hit that subscribe button. There are plenty of other Drinkalongs, watch-alongs on the channels. Not everything we do is just drunk. Loads of other Star Wars stuff, so check out that playlist. And if you want to find out more about our videos, what we're doing, what's coming up, hit us up on our social medias. Facebook at Cinema Savvy, Twitter at cinema_savvy, letterboxd.com. Can't log this on Letterboxd because it classifies as TV. And we have a link to the TeePublic store in the description below with some new designs. But I don't know if there is much else to add. Is there? Just get volume 1 loaded up.
Yeah, so get it loaded up. I'm just going to read through the synopsis real quick now while people are still getting themselves together with it. This was kind of like a big thing, though, because in terms of Star Wars TV shows, Ewoks was the first TV show, really, that came out, and this was like the next big one. This won Emmys. So I'm reading off the fact that it's in the vintage section. That makes me feel very old. And it's a show from 2003. It's vintage. That's just... Anyway, so feel your heart race and your pulse pound as every chapter of this Emmy award-winning animated series envisions the story arc between Star Wars Attack of the Clones and Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Packed with action, this landmark micro-series is essential viewing for all fans of the Force. So there you have it. It's no longer canon, unfortunately, but we will be talking about characters that might be appearing in canon from this TV series. So I'm just going to get mine loaded up real quick. Of course, as always, get it on 0, get it paused, and we'll give you a countdown in a second. Oh, I'm on 1 second. Let's bring that back. Before we get into it, real quick, I'm going to pour my drink because I don't know when I'm going to need this. I don't know if we want to open rules up to people watching. As we said, we want to keep this like a nice chilled one. Just, as I said, trip down memory lane. Very nostalgic. I'm on a red wine again tonight. This is an Italian wine, Valpolicella Ripassa, probably absolutely butchering that pronunciation. An exceptional ruby red, delicately perfumed from Italy's famed Veneto region. We'll give it a go. I'm back on Old Faithful tonight from the Revenge of the Sith Drinkalong. How about you, George?
I'm making a return to that tragic night with the same bottle of Jack Daniels, which I believe, obviously, the Scooby-Doo, I think it was the birthday, it was the Star Wars quiz a couple of days after that, and I attempted to have a swig, and the smell was strong. It was still the same, and I couldn't. So the old JD and Pepsi Max is back out. Oh, that was a Dutch flag. Oh, no, it's football. But also returning to the fold is the iconic at this point, the Drinkalong Cup, the Darth Vader drink, sorry, Chris, you're going to hear the story again. The greatest purchase I made at Star Wars Celebration 2019, $20. Unlimited refills across a 5-day convention. Literally a robbery. Saved so much money. And this cup is now forever etched as the drinking cup. So aside from that,
if we hit 5,000 subs, we'll be auctioning that cup off. It's an heirloom of the channel at this point. I do want to say as well, I have food, so I will be eating. I'm going to try and keep mouth sounds to a minimum, but I'm trying to convince myself I'm sophisticated with wine and cheese. It happens. I'm hungry.
We've got a lot of comments. I'm not going to bring them up yet. We'll bring them up across the show.
As we go in.
Everyone keep commenting. Once this is started and underway, we will bring stuff up. We'll chat as we always do. So I don't know if there's anything else to add. I am at 0 seconds.
I am also at 0 seconds. I got subtitles on just in case I need them.
Same
so
here.
I guess we'll do a countdown, and we'll all go on go. Do countdown from 3, and we'll all go on go. Okay, so get it on 0. 3, 2, 1, go. And away we go. See, I'm so used to the fanfare from the new one, like space, conflict over Coruscant, all that thing.
Now I'm just getting the memories.
Oh, we're straight into it. Oh, hello. Okay.
Those subtitles are very big.
And I'm guessing like a lot of the voice act. Well, I know certainly the guy who plays Obi-Wan is the one who also appears in the CGI one too.
Yeah. James Arnold Taylor.
That's it. We will be doing we will let you know when we're syncing up as well. We're about 45 seconds now.
I mean, we got some of these stories in Clone Wars eventually. I don't know if you remember the StarWars.com game. Have you ever played it at school? Where it'd be this Clone Wars, you play as Kit Fisto.
Here we go, Mace Windu, the ultimate badass of this animated series right here. Wait till he starts punching super battle droids. Has this been remastered? It just looks way more colourful than I remember it.
I reckon it's probably in HD. That might be why.
Oh, those shoulder pads. I remember it. Look at it. I'm going to drink to those shoulder pads.
I always remember the hands.
As
weird
if
hands.
He's not, as if he's not transparently evil enough. He's going to sit there and be like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. Excellent. What I will say about this, because I don't think this gets any hate. I think it is quite sort of like revered by the people who grew up with it and respected. There are elements to this that I like much more than the CGI one. I think that both have their, benefits. Obviously, the computer animated one had way more series. It could develop things more. It had way more episodes and time to play around with it. The things it did with Maul were fantastic. Ahsoka and everything, introducing her character. But this one holds a special place in my heart because this one implicitly sort of leads into episode 3. Like the final shot of volume 2, spoiler alert, I guess, for anyone who hasn't seen it before. It goes right into it, and it explains so many things, like how he gets his scar on his head and just certain things. This one feels more true to the saga, I guess, in a way than the new one did.
Sorry, I'm not laughing. I'm laughing because when you've not seen something in so long, I now know what scenes are coming next.
Yeah.
And it always makes me laugh because we're about to get one of the funniest things I remember.
Oh, the music!
It's the way he throws the coat. And I think Padme's in the window really weird as well. These are bringing back all the memories. So I'll give my story. We'll give the Clone Wars stuff in a moment, but
I'll say the animation's great though. Like I love the style of it. Oh, here we go.
It's just like sad Padme.
She looks like an anime waifu. Like.
Right, so I'd say we're up to 3 minutes 25 at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's 11:11 on our clock. But the whole Clone Wars stuff, I think what this does do better is it starts.
Mm-hmm.
It shows where you are after episode 2, whereas the 3D one just chucks us straight into the middle of any moment in that 3 years.
I think a big thing as well is you talk about like just throwing you straight into it. A big one, and I know we're not at him yet. He comes into Volume 2, but the introduction of General Grievous is outstanding.
No, he's Volume 1. Volume 1.
Is he in Volume 1? Oh yeah, I think he's been training, don't you, with Dooku? That's right. But yeah, like his introduction, he's menacing, he's intimidating, and I was doing a bit of reading on it, and apparently Lucas had a very, very vague outline. He hadn't quite got in his mind what he wanted Grievous to be at that point. They gave the synopsis that he was a Jedi hunter, he was a capable villain, proficient in all kinds of combat, and that's the General Grievous we get in this. And then later on, he would kind of backpedal and make him a mustache twirling villain who constantly runs away from a fight and is the more cowardly villain. I would have loved to have seen this kind of Grievous though in the films. I'm not going to lie.
This is the thing. I didn't see this until after episode 3. This was a present bought to me back in 2005. So I've got a July birthday. I remember one of my best friends, his parent. You get people like dodgy people on the beach that would sell you pirate copies back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being bought a pirated copy of episode 3 on DVD and this Volume 1 formal DVD by one of my friends. And I'd never seen this, and I was blown away. Because I just didn't know this existed, not by the quality, not by any of that. But I was like, oh my God, there's more Star Wars things that I don't know about. And I remember having such a fun time. It was really funny because some of it's so ridiculous that it works. And I was opposed to the 3D Clone Wars. And when it launched in 2008, I didn't watch any of it. And I started watching it when they announced more was coming back. That's when I first caught up to it all. Then I stopped and finished it again once they cancelled it because I hate watching shows weekly.
And I firmly believe as well, like if this series hadn't been a hit, I mean, as we mentioned at the beginning, this won Emmys. Like this was big. If this wasn't a success, you wouldn't have had the 2008 series, and I firmly believe that. I think that that was all testament to this one. And I remember it being really sort of disconcerting as a Star Wars fan at the time, like being a young Star Wars fan and trying to process what is canon, what is part of the series, what isn't, and it was all very strange. And I think because you had such a short amount of time, you had 3 years from 2005, and then I think it was 2008. You had the movie, didn't you, that came out, which was the introduction of Clone Wars. I was thinking, is that show going to fit in continuity with this? Is it because this kind of goes all the way up until episode 3? Like, what more could they tell? Are we going to go back? And then obviously, as you go through, things start to conflict with each other, and that certain timelines don't match up in certain characters. So it is what it is. I think this was one of the first casualties of canon. And
I think as well, when Filoni was hired for Clone Wars, that was before episode 3 came out. So Lucas was already planning that 3D series before 2005. So I reckon they probably saw a couple of episodes of this and thought, you know what, this is a hitter. Mm-hmm. Let's do it properly. Lucas, like, he wanted to push the boundaries, 3D animation. Very much at the time you'd associate with Pixar, big cinema releases. But no, I'm going to do it 20-minute episodes for Star Wars.
Yeah.
And, it had its issues at the start, but you're right, this paves the way. He probably gauged the reactions to this, then decided he wanted to do it properly.
And these were released in like really short episodes, weren't they? I think at least the first 2 seasons were like very short, 5 to 10 minute bite-sized episodes with just random sequences like this. Like, let's just have an episode where the clones are shooting at droids and that's it. And I guess like even the computer animated one did that as well in some respects in the earlier seasons, where it was very light on story and was all about the spectacle of the action.
I love the music.
I do love the style of it. Like looking at it again, it's really unique, and I don't think we've seen anything like that with Star Wars until probably recently, because I know they've got that new show coming out, haven't they? Soon, which is done in the anime style, which looks really promising.
Oh yes, the new ones. I thought you were on about Resistance then.
No, oh god, no.
I mean that's 2D animated, I think.
No, that was like digital.
Oh no, that was the weird 3D animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. I mean, I watched the first series, but it's just not my demographic, which is fair. What I will say about the animation, at the start I hated Rebels' animation, but I actually like the fact it stands out so differently to Clone Wars. Now you can look at them as their own thing, and this fits in that. They didn't just carbon copy this and make it 7 seasons worth.
Yeah. And that's fair play to them. Like, and this just feels like really authentic as well. Like the music, you do get some like of John Williams scoring there. We heard it at the beginning, but it all feels part of it. So I think they did like a really good job of matching the tone of what we'd had from the prequels, with a few exceptions. We'll get to Dirge when he's introduced. He's a very strange character, very anime. I do want to bring up some comments though, just before we get too far into it. Carl says the idea of Grievous was he was a test subject for the Emperor's technology. You'll notice he has breathing equipment on, which would later be used to keep Vader alive. Yeah, I've seen that theory a lot out there. Not specifically about the breathing apparatus on him, but that each villain of the prequels was meant to be an aspect of what would eventually become Vader. I guess you have the unbridled hatred of, Darth Maul. You have the person who's been jaded by the Jedi Council with Count Dooku in the second one. And then you have Grievous, who is that machine, part creature, part machine kind of thing.
Yeah, it's always worked well that you have the trio together. I think Grievous worked for what they wanted from all versions of Grievous, I'd say, in that sort of other character.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Just doing a bit of research. April 2005, George Lucas announced they were working on the 3D Clone Wars series. So July 2005 was pre-production. That was straight away like, okay, this worked. I'm doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably as Lucas as you can get it, in truth.
So just coming up to, we're just past 10:15. We're on Mon Calamari now. This is what I mean. When it starts off, it's just these random segments, isn't it? But it's still cool. JX says, I heard an anecdote from Filoni that he thought he was being pranked because Clone Wars was already made. I don't think he was brought on in 04. I'm not sure when he was brought on, but it would have been, yeah.
He's mentioned in interviews about being at the premiere for episode 3, so I'd imagine it was 05 maybe.
Oh, we got our boy Kit Fisto. Look, he's fucking ripped.
Smiling.
Look at him. Did you see him? He's got that
He's
like
always smiling as well.
He's got the Kylo Ren lightsaber, the distressed crystal. Look at it.
I'm really glad that in Clone Wars they eventually did do the Mon Calamari stuff, because this was some of my favorite things from this.
Yeah.
Granted, it was a giant shark man thing.
But I quite like that we get Kit Fisto here in sort of, I guess, like his natural environment, but like underwater. So it's cool to see the Jedi Masters do this. But what's with all like the dramatic derobing? Like Kit Fisto had one as well. Not quite as dramatic as Anakin, but look at him. Like he's hench. Christ. They got a gym at that Jedi Academy? Like, is he benching?
I just love the fact that he was literally allowed to survive like 2 deflections after the other Jedi because people liked him.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, here's your rules being liked. You will die second last by Palpatine in the jaw.
And that's what I mean. And this, to be fair, this TV show didn't do it any favors, and I don't even think the computer animated one does either. You have all these incredible Jedi Masters that are doing all of this, right? I remember even at the time when this was considered canon, and you have Mace Windu just sort of boxing super battle droids. And then he kind of, he's struggling to hold his own against Palpatine, and, Kit Fisto and the other 2 that show up as well all get killed straight away. Did you not see how they fight in these scenes? Yeah.
Is this like the mountain of kyber crystals you were telling me about yesterday?
Oh, okay.
And let's not save that for now. Let's do it a bit later.
I'd say this is going to immediately date this if we do, but the comic books are doing some crazy shit at the moment. It's in between Empire and Return of the Jedi, and they're bringing sequel trilogy stuff into it, specifically Episode 9. It's mad. It's an absolute madness at the moment. Did he just throw a spirit bomb out of water? It makes the
like
Geonosis noise.
I thought that was like a ball of air, like non-water. But
it made the Geonosis gun sound like blue, 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 like that.
We get a lot of classic sound effects. Yeah.
This is like Aquaman right now.
I've still not seen it. I won't.
Don't.
And I mean, maybe Kit Fisto could kill Amber Heard in the series. We'll never know. He's smart, as we said that.
But I love how that was a character trait. Like, he only did that once in Attack of the Clones, but that was such a staple of the character that people remember it.
It's because he did something. Like,
here's a question.
Take away the main Jedi. What do any of them do in Episode 2? You have that random girl that kicks the droid and makes a noise. Yeah. You've got Coleman Treeball, the legend who couldn't make it into this animated series because of his untimely death.
And he's memorable because he dies. Like, that's...
Yeah, wow.
That's why.
And that's like an
among many other reasons, but
and then it's like Kit Fisto for smiling. Like, any other Jedi do anything in that battle?
Probably not. No, not really. They just kind of strike poses, don't they? Here's a question for you, George. Is there any hype for the Bad Batch? Hardly hearing anyone talk about it.
I am going to watch when they said it will be a 70-minute episodes. I thought that's the right thing. So I don't care at the moment. I didn't like the Iraqi Clone Wars. I really didn't. That's an understatement. I really did not like the Iraqi Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. I wondered why they were being put in a limited series of 12, but now they've got their own series. I understand. So I'm going to give it Tuesday, and then if I like it, I'll watch it weekly. If not, I'll just binge it when it finishes. There are a lot of people excited in their own way, but I don't think, in truth, as many people are. The main thing going for it is that it's set after Order 66.
We've got our introduction to Dirge right here.
Oh, this has got all the IGs, aren't they?
IG,
I remember this.
It's like a cavalry of IGs. And you know that again, this character has proved popular. Yeah. I guess he's coming back in the comic books soon.
I don't know if he's been in yet.
I know it's a new bounty hunter run. I think they're doing, isn't it, around Boba Fett, and this guy's coming back into it again, cherry picking from the old canon. Hopefully, they don't absolutely bastardize him, but by the looks of him, it looks like they're keeping the character pretty consistent with what he was.
I always love that shot. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. You know me, animation's not my favorite genre, but I don't see enough of it, so it's very easy for me to get excited by different things.
I think as well because this is 2D. There's just something so like just watching this. Like, it's simplistic, like the designs, but that stylistically, God, I think this was something that George Lucas said when he made Phantom Menace. It's stylistically designed to be that way, and it absolutely is. Like, it looks simple, but when you look at it, it is still pretty complex movements and everything. It does look good. It fits the tone.
And I bet this had a high budget for 2D animation, knowing George Lucas as well. We've got coming from Dave. He's looking forward to the special. It determines if he's in for the rest. Absolutely.
Do the clones actually talk in this? I'm trying to remember.
I don't think so. I don't think they do. I think they stay masked for the entire thing. I could be wrong. Maybe the ARC Troopers, because they were a big deal for this. How would they do this in modern day? Would they get Taika Waititi to voice them all? You know, he's been casting like Blackbeard in a TV series they're doing.
There'd be like a whole extended segment where two of them are talking with each other and have kind of an existential crisis, like, hey, why are we doing what we do? Like,
I remember this.
Oh, hello, gladiator scene.
I know.
Oh, is this Dooku? What the hell is going on? Oh, yeah, that's Dooku with his weird ship.
Yeah, I never really understood how. I don't understand how it works.
Is it like a solar sail or something? Is it powered by the sun? No idea.
It's just, I don't know. I'm not going to complain about the science of Star Wars because you can hear things in space, but I remember the weird cat ladies. That Doctor Who did that after. Do you remember the cat people in Doctor Who, the David Tennant series?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the cat nurses. Yeah. See, this is very anime now. This has kind of gone off the deep end a little bit.
You can see why they wanted to like switch it up for the big series as well.
Yeah.
Lucas always clearly planned this as a short thing between 2 and 3. And what if, for instance, didn't they plan about 9 or 10 seasons of Clone Wars? What they wanted to do?
We've got Corey Burton though as the voice of. He does a lot of sort of Christopher Lee stand-in voices. He sounds quite similar with his voice acting. So,
did any of the cast return to this? I know a lot of them did for the '08 film.
Oh, it's such a cool voice. I love how they keep the chin as well. It's not quite as spectacular as the computer animated one, but that Count Dooku chin. Oh, it's a Sag Ventress, isn't it? Dramatic derobing. There we go. That should be a drinking rule if we were going to do one. Every time there's a dramatic derobing.
It's like the Gamorrean guards in the same costume they'll always have.
Carl brings up a great comment here, and I always was weirded out by this as well. Hang on. Was anyone else surprised how the Super Battle Droids sounded in Sith, Revenge of the Sith, with their high-pitched voices? Nothing. Yeah, completely. I always loved the Super Battle Droids because they never said a thing. They were like the fucking Terminator. One of my favorite bits from Attack of the Clones, it's such a small moment. It's at the Battle of Geonosis, and he like shoves a battle droid out of the way and then carries on shooting. And I loved how there was this kind of hierarchy and superiority with the Super Battle Droids compared to the regular grunts.
You get it on the old games as well.
Yeah. And then they started talking in Revenge of the Sith. Now, I think there's a canon explanation. There is for everything, isn't there, more or less? How I think like the droid control ship that was controlling them was destroyed, and then a new one took over, which explains why they have different voices. I don't like the Super Battle Droids having voices, but that's just me, especially not the high-pitched ones. And even the Battle Droids had higher-pitched voices as well.
That's very samurai. I've been playing a lot of Ghost of Tsushima recently. I did like a 20-minute side mission this morning, winning 6 duels in like the country.
She still is one of my favorite Star Wars characters. All came from this. Loved her character in this as Sag Ventress.
Is it the same voice actress as the later show? I'm not sure.
Do you know the one who played her in the?
I don't have the name.
Grey Delise.
Is he hovering?
He's using the Force. That's amazing. I'm going to drink to that. He was doing his Iron Man pose, like. Let's see. Did she do Sag Ventress? It sounds different though. Her voice sounds a little bit different.
JX different VA.
Yeah.
And Chris, anyone returned? Anthony Daniels, of course. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh, he'll return for anything for a paycheck, won't he? Jesus Christ. Because I am the most important Star Wars character. Oh
it
my
will
God,
be weird.
I don't remember her getting Force lightning.
It was all a dream.
Ventress is like, I have the power to save the ones you love.
It's bringing back so many memories now.
I always said, and I think I mentioned this to you before, well, it's probably days ago now. Volume 1 was the one that I watched the least amount of times. I loved Ventress, and I just distinctly remember her fight with Anakin more than anything else. But Volume 2, I was all over. I always used to watch Volume 2.
They're both flying.
We have a comment from Twigs Telecasting. I hope you're not recommending this rule. Drink for idle chatter. Is that idle chatter between us or the actual TV series? But whatever, I'll take a drink. But I love how we get to see sort of like the training with Dooku, with his apprentices. Like, I love the bit where you see him actually training up Grievous, which gives more credence to that line in Revenge of the Sith. And I love the Ventress stuff as well.
Yeah, because in Clone Wars 3D, the whole backstory is that he took an apprentice from Dathomir, and it was all that. And they did do good stuff with her. Oh my God, the crab's back.
I never understood the crab thing. It just seems like the most impractical thing ever. When they exist in a world where a hologram can come out of like a little handheld device, what's the point of the crab robot?
And how's he watching as well?
I've never understood the holograms in Star Wars, to be honest. But
oh wow, it really doesn't look that much like the current Chancellor.
Just look for the shoulders.
World.
If he had like ridiculous shoulder pads.
I mean, this must have been mad for people that watched this live pre-episode 3, like not knowing what's going to happen.
Oh damn! It's Tom. Twigs telecasting is Tom. He has returned.
I will drink twice to drink if you love The Last Jedi.
Can I empty my whole bottle out onto the floor?
You can down it.
No. Says the crab will have its own comic book series.
Do you reckon that's the same crab that was on Phantom Menace in 1999?
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. If
crab is like the crab, a Star Wars story.
Yeah. If Palpatine handpicked that droid, it was like, that will be.
This is like the ultimate badass. Whenever I think of telescopes, I always think of Davy Jones.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember with this series. Did Anakin and Obi-Wan have their sort of Clone Wars battle armor that they have in the? Or is that just from the? That's a shame.
I think he wears. Yeah, he wears a costume.
I don't know where they packed those javelins. Is that just like a weapon that they have? Are these sort of speeder bike cavalry guys like a thing, or have they just sort of got these because Dirge had them? That's that's so cool. It's like knights. It's brilliant.
We don't really get. We don't really get.
You need like just throw it in.
We don't really get cavalry charges like this, do we anymore?
No, exactly. It's showing me something I haven't seen before.
What a shot!
I always remember Dirge like having a sound. You know, like the Prowler from Into the Spider-Verse. I always remembered having him some kind of like mechanical sound he'd always play.
I think it's in the duel later on.
Oh, he does have the battle art. Yeah. No, I remembered it. Yeah. Yeah, it's like the shoulder pads. Charlie says, I'm watching along, but I'm about 10 minutes behind, and I've got to leave at 9 for line of duty, so not really sure why I'm here. Well, thanks for tuning in anyway. We appreciate it.
It's because it's Star Wars. Imagine if we were doing like a Drinkalong to something like pathetic. I remember this. Yeah, he laughs. I remember this. This is bringing all the memories back.
Oh, that's cool. Now, I'm wondering with Dirge in the comic books, if they are going to go full Dirge, is it like you never go full retard from Tropic Thunder? It's like, are they going to go full Dirge and have like the weird striations, or are they just going to have him be like a robot general guy?
It's got to be all of it, hasn't it, to bring him back?
Because he's like a bounty hunter kind of thing with the flamethrower and everything. God damn it.
Is this the 2 hour? Yes, it is, Tom. It is all of them combined into one well, 2 volumes.
Ooh, there we go.
Look at that. He didn't even have to change his stance to get his hologram up. That's called a practical hologram.
It's almost like he read the script. Is it like the T-1000 now? He all kind of like pulls himself together.
I remember this. He starts blending it in. It's really weird. Such
a strange character. But I think the strangeness is why he's memorable. I think that's why people hold him in such high regard. I don't even know if people hold him in high regard, but
it's the old sound effects.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I guess they can just fly.
The banking clan.
The banking clan will sign your treaty. Wonder if that's the same guy.
Probably.
Well, I've almost finished glass of wine number 1.
I'm about halfway down the first one.
This wine's a lot smoother than the one I had for Mortal Kombat, so I'm kind of worried.
Are you going to be switching your drinks during Volume 2 like you did last
time? No, I've learned from my mistakes in some way. I haven't in that I'm back on the wine from last time. That's mistake number 1, but I ain't switching. And there's no blue food color in this time either, thank Christ. So,
what a lie. I'm merely a banker. That means so much more when you're an adult that you'd go straight for the head.
It's like, there is no money you can steal here. Really? Then why are you here?
Oh, did you see we can't help homeless people or feed young kids, but we've got £200 million to make another yacht for the royal family.
Oh boy. And now we go full anime. This is great. Love it.
I love that he's still got the helmet on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I mean, what can he just practically just like headbutt them? But
it's not the noise it makes, like the squelching of like the muscles. It kind of reminds me now. I've only seen this movie once, but it kind of reminds me of Akira. At the end of the movie, there's this like giant monstrosity made of like muscle and tissue and all like muscle composition and everything. It's such a strange ending to Akira, but it always reminds me of Dirge. Or I guess Dirge reminds me of him because that film came out in the 80s, I think, didn't it? But does he cut his way out?
It's the way the clone just like...
Oh, shit. Oh, yes, it's horrible.
That's what too much steroids does to people.
It's like Bane. Oh.
Imagine if this had inspired him to get a haircut.
He kind of looked like Kurt Cobain after he got out of Dirge. I wonder what Dirge smells like. Like just Dirge.
Do you reckon he has like a wall of helmets?
See, I saw that. That's totally T1000 there. He's still going to be alive. But I'm guessing they're not going to say that Dirge was around during the Clone Wars then in the comic books. I'm guessing they're going to sort of introduce him later on down the line.
They might. I wonder if they'll make a passing comment. Maybe. I love the fact that the Geonosian fighters are being used. Like, not that they've had... I mean, I don't love it. It's the fact that it's so... that it wasn't.
Okay. This came out around the same time as one of my favorite games. I think it's a game that you actually own now. Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the OG Battlefront 2 on PS2. Yep. What was your favorite class to play as in that game?
Am I being a cheat? I basically only ever play as the troopers because I didn't like... obviously, when you get the, press... Well, I used to have it on PC, so it was like, press F11 to play as this. I just would always play as the main people. What I have noticed this week, because I've gone and bought a PS2, it's a hell of a lot harder on PlayStation than it was on a computer. Because the aim of the rapid fire on the mouse... Here we go. This is even better timing. Do you remember Revenge of this came out on PS2? Cutscenes from the film. One of my best friends at the time, Lewis, we basically grew up with the prequels with each other. I remember not going to play this game at his until I saw the film because I heard there were scenes from it. And it's mad when you think back then that so many films would have clips, like the games would have clips from the films. It wasn't just Star Wars, it was mad. And I'm excited to replay it soon because when they released it on PS3 on the re-release, they took all the clips out from the film.
Oh, what, really?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a license thing, maybe like 2000. It was like 2000, probably like 10 or something. I love.
I love that game. That was one of my favorite games, Revenge of the Sith. And what's in? Oh, hang on,
that's 2-player.
The sound cut out there. I thought we were getting a seismic charge for some reason. That's why I went quiet. But yeah, it's 2-player. There's a segment in there which is kind of like Mortal Kombat, how you have like the one-on-one fighter kind of thing with the health bars at the top. It was such a great game. I remember playing it before the movie, but and JX, if you're still watching this, maybe you can help me out here. You'll probably know the name of it. I want to say it's Syndrolig, but I might be misremembering the name. But in the Revenge of the Sith movie, when Yoda and Obi-Wan are looking at the hologram of Anakin fighting all the Jedi in the temple, you can see him fighting like a bunch of people, and you play that boss fight in the game. And I always wondered, like, because that game was probably being made when things were still like an early concept and maybe things hadn't been refined for the final movie. Would we have seen some of those scenes? The Mace Windu fight scene in the game is fantastic because you go outside the window and there's a whole fight scene with Anakin and Mace Windu outside. And yeah, you kind of think that maybe they added all this stuff just to pad the game out and to get levels out of it. But it just always made me wonder, was there a lot more? There's even
temple.
Yeah, there's
I
even
remember that.
shots in the cutscenes from the film. There's a line from Dooku, which is one of my favorite Dooku lines, which isn't in the final film. And it's where they fight him on the bridge of the command ship at the beginning. It's like, you won't get away this time, Dooku. Ignites lightsaber. Then Dooku says, just because there are two of you, do not assume you have the advantage. And that's in the cutscene, but obviously that line isn't in the final movie. They probably cut it out because they realized that, well, of course, two doesn't mean they have the advantage because they were 2-on-1 in the last movie and they still got their asses kicked. So maybe that's why they removed it. But it's interesting. And a lot of the movie tie-in games did that as well. Return of the King has loads of scenes in the cutscenes of the thing that don't feature in the final movie. So I don't know. It's interesting. Stick around. Maybe not anytime soon. Maybe sometime in the future. Ideas are afoot. I'll just say that. I'll keep it at that for now.
It was a fun investment. I was playing PES for any football fans. Pro Evolution Soccer 5, the greatest football game ever made, where Arsenal players are actually rated good. I was playing that last night. It's a lot harder than I remember it being as a kid.
That's the thing with some older games. It's you forget how abusively difficult some of them were. We've got it too easy now with games since like PS3.
I wonder as a kid, we all played on the easiest setting.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably that. But Crash Bandicoot was the biggest way to rage quit and not play it again.
Okay.
Comment from JX. Yep, here we go. I'm sure you probably. The stunt coordinator who was on all the prequels played Sindralig as well. That's a very Lucas thing to do as well.
Mm-hmm.
To give people such and sort of. I think especially for that film, the stunt coordinator for the bloody jewels as well.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't Kenobi and Anakin do months of training for that?
And this is weird as well because I'm not used to this voice actor of Anakin. I'm used to the computer animated one now.
It sounds a lot more like whiny Anakin from episode 2, but it's not a good Anakin.
Well, again, I like how they continue this because I think you mentioned before we went live earlier that when the computer animated one starts out, we basically get Revenge of the Sith versions of those characters. Whereas this one is a direct continuation from the end of Attack of the Clones, where he is still very much Padawan with a braid and
then he evolves across the series, which
he gets
when they were doing.
Yeah. I think he cuts his braid off, doesn't he? And does he send it to? I think he sends it to Padme. Twig says, Chris, stop playing on casual. Bump up that difficulty to normal if it's too easy for you. I have got good with that now. I do usually play a game on normal now, but I've never been a very talented gamer. I will say that. Like, even as a kid, even now, I'm not that great, but
mine
depends.
I try. I do prefer online games still, but there is nothing better than a story-driven game that's single player.
Yeah.
I hate games that do both. I know that makes me a hypocrite. Just give me a multiplayer game or a solo game. Don't merge it and mean that it's not as good as it could be.
Mm. There it is. I'll drink to that. I've got a bad feeling about this. We had it.
I don't know why I feel tired.
Just keep drinking up, George. You'll be fine.
Here we are. I know what's happening now. I know where
we're up to. No, is this the bit? This is the bit, isn't it? Is this the bit? Oh, it is. Now, I gave my word of honor beforehand that I would drink for every single Super Battle droid that Mace Windu punches, if it is that scene. I think it might be. It is. Well, I stand by it.
I mean, it's a clone that's in the first one, so you're lucky.
That was cool.
I just remember what happens next.
Oh, we got another punch. I love that. Here we go. Dramatic pose. This is the most Samurai Jack part of the whole thing. It's so cool though. Like, I know it's hyper stylized though, isn't it? Like, it's all part of it. Maybe a bit too OTT for this bit, but it's what I mean. Like Order 66, Jedi Masters getting wiped out by like 5 clone troopers shooting, and then you've got a scene like this. It's just like, how did they all die out?
Oh, look, 3D Clone Wars wouldn't defend the clones. I remember this so much. This is bringing it all back. It was that weird kid in a straw hat running that makes me laugh.
Yeah, I don't get the Straw Hat Kid. It's so random. Oh, this is like what's this, like a terraforming thing? What is it? Is it just
I just thought it was like
I don't
it's
know
like
the
a
point of
hammer.
this thing. Yeah. Is it just if you've got like a huge army in front of you, just fly this over and start stomping them out? Like,
Doesn't it kill the droids as well?
yeah, I think so. Oh, yeah, of
I
course
mean,
it would.
how didn't they see this coming like 10 minutes before the fight?
And it's so slow moving as well.
Dave,
Dave says
he's
he's a relation. Oh, yeah, a broom boy. I mean, that is cool though.
Oh, little hot screen.
We had it. Yeah. I was just kidding around earlier. I didn't even remember it was in this thing. That's cool.
I mean, that's a big hole.
Why? Why is this a thing? It's the most impractical weapon they have.
Look, that's this that Super Ultra just like chilling there. Like, I also wonder what's going on.
Tom has a comment. Just to be a little less trolley for a moment, is it weird to see pre-Disney Star Wars and what they got away with? There's a mix of good and bad across all generations, I think.
I fall under the category that I'm not going to state it. You know, it's hard for me to say this because I've not read every book comic I've made, but the amount of shit that there was before Disney took over, there is as much shit after they took over in terms of the expanded universe, all that conundrums, book this, comic that, description this, description that. You know, because most of that Clone Wars series was pre-Disney as well. That's what I always say.
That counts as one.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh god.
9.
Keep counting.
I guess you're lucky that was only the Force, that one. Fucking raising his fist.
Oh, at least that comes back into use after Phantom Menace, the super run. Roger. Again, no walkways. No walkways ever. It's like that was like the Death Star shot right there, wasn't it? With the beam.
I don't know if you know, but this is all set on Exegol. I mean, it makes sense as to maybe this destroyed all the crops and thus became a dark storm planet.
Just going back to Tom's comment, is it weird to see pre-Disney Star Wars and what they got away with? I don't know. I think there's more. Do I dare say there's more varied stuff? I guess there's still varied stuff now. You get films, you get animated TV shows, you get comic books. So there's still kind of the same stuff that you had before. It's good and bad. I think overall I do prefer pre-Disney Star Wars, but I think that's probably a lot of it is nostalgia. It's like that to me was the canon after Return of the Jedi. That was what it was. You kind of cherry picked from the good stories and kind of chose to forget about the crap. But I mean, that's what Star Wars is now. It's mostly crap with some gems in there, but you just accept it now for what it is. It's you roll with the punches, you know.
It's the same back then, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a rabbit, didn't you? You had like a rabbit rebellion pilot, which is just awful. But
the problem with the old Star Wars is that, and it's the same as it is now. And you know my opinion on this. People were hired to write comics and books, and they're fans. Yes, they're writers; that's their job, but they are fans. Mm-hmm. And George Lucas, at the click of a finger, could determine. Yes, on paper it's canon, but he would say on record, doesn't mean it's actually my Star Wars. I think he said stuff like that loads in the past. The stuff he does want, which he will go into, but. Sorry, this weird kid's creeping me out. It'd be funny if you got to capitalize. I think it's the same as now as it is then. The only difference is there's less games. I will say is the boom of the games in the early noughties was incredible. I know that games are a lot harder to make now than they were then. Budgets, everything. But there's like a game, like 2 or 3 games a year, like round back then, like especially like post episode 2.
I think what it is as well is that a lot of the content, not counting the stuff that came after Return of the Jedi, a lot of the content that was put out, especially around the time of the prequels, was bolstering the prequels, like this, for example. And a lot of the stuff that came out was within that 1 to 6 window. So it always felt like they were 6 movies. That was the saga. And everything that came out in between was just to fill that time gap. As I say, I know there was stuff that came after 6. I know there was countless novels that came out afterwards, but at least for our generation, a lot of it was just sort of building and on the prequels, essentially. And I think it's just, maybe I have a problem now, just I don't like the sequels, and a lot of the content they're putting out now is going now to that sequel trilogy territory, and I'm like, no, stop.
To be fair, what I would say, I think Disney's done better the gap of 3 and 4, as in the latter half. I think when you think of the expanded universe for the original trilogy, most of it was set after 6.
Mm-hmm.
They never really, and I know that Lucas had rules that people couldn't do stuff. Clone Wars, like, it was a no-go, like that was always something he'd do. But what the first thing Disney did was sort of, I don't want to say milk that 4 to 6 era, but they smashed out the, what would I say, that sort of 10-year gap from the not episode 3 to 4, but more like middle point 3.5 to 4, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think they've done really well at their latter stages, and I think now with Kenobi and other stuff, we're going to get more of that episode 3 to 4 window, like what we've got with Fallen Order and other things.
Mm-hmm.
But we always knew the moment the sequel trilogy finished, they would start filling in those 30-year gaps, and we are getting that obviously with Mandalorian and a lot of other TV shows that I guess are going to be coming out soon. Very quick comment from Carl. If you had control of the Green Lighting Star Wars interior, what characters or eras would you want to see covered?
Old Republic. Easily. It's the most fertile ground. You might piss off a lot of video gamers, but
That'll
that's
be films,
fine. But
I think there'll be films.
We've covered 1 to 6, I think, pretty much as much as you can. I know we've got Obi-Wan coming out again, going to that 3 to 4 era that you just mentioned. I don't want to see them go into sequel trilogy territory, because seeing where it leads to, it's just shit. It's just an absolute shit show. So I think that the more they can stay clear of that, the better. Go and do a prequel to like Phantom Menace. Let's see what was happening 1,000 years. Let's see what was happening when the Sith were originally around. You can take stuff from the games, you can add new stuff, new characters, new era, completely new setting, new aesthetic, everything. Just go completely balls to the wall. And that's what I wanted from the sequel trilogy. I wanted visually new stuff, and I think you got that with the prequels. You could argue that maybe they went a bit too far with the prequels, because you only have like a less than 20-year time jump from 3 into 4, and you go from this very polished, clean, very stylized aesthetic with the prequels, and then you go to like a very rundown, kind of Western samurai feel from the originals, and the visual tone doesn't match. But I've always appreciated the prequels for being visually different, and I kind of want to see that happen again, but with a different era. So I don't care about the High Republic. I don't care about, what was it, like 300 years before Phantom Menace or whatever it is. I don't care. Go further back and let's see those original conflicts, because I think that could be really cool.
Before I give my opinion, for Dave's comment, what time are we on? 45:50 at the time of saying that on the series. I'm just going to bring up Tom's comment. Chris's answer was a long-winded way of saying you hate The Last Jedi.
I can give you a short-winded answer and say that, yes, I hate The Last Jedi. There we go. Moving on.
I'm thinking, but based off what you said, that means you wouldn't want any more Mandalorian, right? Because you don't want anything building up to the sequels.
It's really tough. Like, I loved Mandalorian season 1.
You want it to end. You don't want, but off your comment, you want no more Mandalorian. It's done. We're not getting a season 3 or anything.
No. I like Mandalorian when it's being the Mandalorian. When we started getting things where we have back to tanks of Snoke, I'm like, oh no, we're getting dangerously close to the era that I don't want us to go in. Like, canonically, I know that we need to start establishing the First Order, and they need to rise up out of the ashes of the Empire. I know that we need to explain Snoke, and we're going into these things, and it's like, you're tying it too much in. And, I didn't mind it, but I know that could be a drawback from season 2 of Mandalorian, in that, let's throw Ahsoka in there. If you've seen her in the animated show, you know who she is. If you don't, then fuck you. And, Bo-Katan and all these characters from pre-existing stuff, Boba Fett coming back and all this. I think season 1 hit the sweet spot of it just being its own thing, and I liked that, and I kind of wanted to just stay in that world more, and I was kind of holding back the tide of moving closer to those sequels and sort of filling in that gap. And it's like, no, I don't want to. Let's just stay with Mando and Baby Yoda in perfect harmony forever. And let's just keep it to this story and let's just tell this story. But we don't know where it's going to go. I don't know if it is going to start tying into sequel trilogy stuff when we get into season 3 of Mando. We'll have to wait and see. We don't even know if that was a Snoke reveal in season 2 yet, because the comic's doing one thing. The comic now has Palpatine has control of the severed hand of Luke Skywalker from the end of Empire Strikes Back, and it's inferred that he's created Snoke from that severed hand, from the DNA of Luke. So the comic book, which claims to be canon, is doing one thing, but then Mandalorian might be doing something else. I don't know. It doesn't feel like they have a plan. It's as you said, it feels like they hand off the comic books to fans, Star Wars fans, and just they create whatever they want, but there's no sort of connective tissue between the canon as a whole.
That's what it's always been. To me, film and TV, the rest is irrelevant. The odd game. Just because people always say to bring up Jon Favreau's Mandalorian announcement. And off his original post, almost 3 years ago now, which is mental, he always said the Mandalorian is set after the fall of the Empire and before the First Order. Blah, blah, blah. This is about the reaches of the galaxy of the New Republic. So it was always going to be connected to the sequels. And he said that in many interviews. It was always going to be about the First Order. So I don't mind that. Going to give my take on Carl's questions, if I could have an era, I think we're done for Clone Wars. To me, I don't want Bad Batch. I mean, it's happening. I'd like to see, I don't even want to say post-Order 66, because we kind of had that with Clone Wars. We're going to have it with Bad Batch. We've had it with Fallen Order. Part of me wants to say a prequel to Episode 1, which I don't really know if I want that. I really don't give a shit about the Old Republic, in truth. Those nutcase gamers are just as too much, because they could adapt it 100% perfect, and they'll still have clickbait reasons to moan at the adaptation of it. There was that big argument a month ago where people were claiming that Star Wars fans don't count if they don't know who Revan is, which is always funny, because the people that say that, if you can ask them for any of the Revan appearances in that game, they'll normally stump you for an answer.
It's one of those things where they've tried to introduce him loads, haven't they? Like, I know there was a deleted scene in the Mortis trilogy in Clone Wars where they were going to introduce him in Bane, and they felt like it would conflict. And I think George Lucas didn't like the idea that Sith could come back as sort of Sith ghosts. That was a trait that just the Jedi could have, and the Sith sort of couldn't come back as Force ghosts or apparitions or anything. And then I know there was a deleted scene from Episode 9 where I don't know if it was going to be one of the statues at Exegol, or there was going to be some kind of mural. They were going to show Revan on there, and I think that got cut. I think that was released in concept art or something like that. I seem to remember seeing. I
don't know what era I want. I actually know I want more between 6 and 7. I think that's a far more interesting era to explore, and that's what they're doing, that 30-year gap. And I think Mandalorian's going to kickstart that. Comment from Tom. Apart from the sequels, pre-Rise of Skywalker, Star Wars needs to step away from being about one family and angst. That's what they're doing. I mean, they kept saying it's the Skywalker saga now. They're moving away from it with kind of Mando, with the new era. Was it High Republic? They're clearly going to go into the Old Republic after. And obviously, we've got these new films, which we don't know fully what's going to happen. Another comment from Tom. Comics don't influence the casuals. They won't include. This is the thing. No one really cares about the comics. And I'm not insulting comic fans. There are fans that read them. Jon Favreau is not going to have a comic written by someone dictate what he does in The Mandalorian. That is the only way you can look at the comics and books. Look at the Aftermath book, right? They had Cobb Vanth. They introduced him. Brilliant. What did Mandalorian do? They included Cobb Vanth, and they changed his origin, and they made it work far better for a visual introduction, not just some guy that just stole a Boba Fett costume. So, take influences from it, but so much of it's going to be shit, just ignore it. And that's how I've approached Star Wars for many years. And Lucas did it that way too. Yeah,
I think what annoys me the most at the moment, though, is with sort of like this new canon, like this severed hand thing from Luke being the creation of Snoke. It was clearly never part of the plan. Now, I know you could argue with some aspects of that with, the recent Clone Wars series, how, Ahsoka was never part of the plan, and she clearly wasn't. She's obviously never mentioned in Revenge of the Sith because she hadn't been created at that point. She wasn't a thing. And again, this is kind of like another reason that I kind of prefer this, is that it feels more cohesive. It's weird how in Revenge of the Sith you don't have them ever mentioning Ahsoka at any point. I know it's sort of like weird in hindsight, but you know, like going back and trying to explain stuff that should have been explained in the movies. That's a huge aspect that should have been explained in the movies, and that's a fault of the sequel trilogy. You know, they didn't have a plan. The constant creative tug of war between J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson, the fact that they didn't map out this trilogy beforehand, knowing where it was going to go, knowing the threads that were going to lead to, and the character development between each one. It's just evident seeing that there's countless video essays out there where people talk about that and that Disney didn't have a plan and they should have done, but it just seems completely pointless sort of filling the gap in to try and make it better and to try and provide an explanation and context for everything when there clearly wasn't. And there's so much contradictory stuff in the sequel trilogy that just doesn't add up. And no matter how many graphic novel writers you get or novel writers or anything like that to try and fill in this gap, knowing where it leads to, especially with episode 9, like I know that people have their opinions on 7 and 8, and you know, I don't agree with those, but I know that it is quite divided. It has its fans and it has its haters, but people seem to unanimously all very much dislike episode 9, where it leads to. And I think knowing that that's where it goes to, you can do as much writing as you like. You're never going to make that work in the context of everything because it was just nonsense completely. So
do you not think people said this in 2005 and 6 about the prequels though? This is how I've approached this. Do you not see the insane parallels of them making a series called The Clone Wars, filling in the gaps between the films where people said no one cared about? Because it is the same people that hounded Lucas out are the same ones that now pray for him to return, and that's why the fandom is just nonsense. Because that's why I don't. The fact I hate 9 is one thing, but there's going to be a whole generation of kids that grow up with the sequels, and that's cool for them. And that's why I won't rob it and all that, because there will be kids that grow up in the same way the prequel generation grew up. You see Ewan McGregor in interviews saying how much shit he got in the early noughties, the mid noughties, from adults giving him abuse in the street because of the role he played. And then he said that generation that watched that grew up, and now everyone tells me how great it is. The same thing's going to happen because it's Star Wars. There will be a generation that grew up with that era, with the Mandalorian. You know, whether that is, you know, ... filling in a gap. It's a gap that's been one of the most successful gaps in Star Wars history, as far as I'm concerned already. There's been 2 seasons of it.
I think where the difference lies, though, is that, especially with like the Clone Wars and the computer animated one, the ideas were there from Lucas. It was just more the execution. I think we've always said that. And I think these animated ones came in and there was already a blueprint there. And, you know, say what you want about the prequels, but there was a plan. Like Lucas knew where he needed to get to. He knew that he needed to have Anakin turn to the dark side, get in the suit, and Palpatine rise up, the Jedi be extinguished. He had a game plan, essentially. How he handled that's up for debate, whether you think
not for the originals. Well or not. But the originals were made up on the spot.
Yeah, but I think probably from Empire into Return of the Jedi, there's more of a connective tissue there than there was with A New Hope, which was made as like a flat-out sort of standalone film. That's how most trilogies go, usually. You'll make your first film, it'll be a success, they'll demand a sequel, and then you kind of have a more closely knit 2 and 3 together. That's usually how trilogies go. But I think with the Clone Wars TV series, like there was already a blueprint there from the films. They just had to kind of go in and give people actual character and personality and moments, and you know, some of those side characters like the Jedi that just don't say anything and they're just kind of there. Have story arcs where you can give character to those Jedi and personality, so that then when you do watch the films, it reinforces it, having seen the Clone Wars TV series. I think the difference is with the sequel trilogy is that the sequel trilogy stuff directly contradicts stuff from the pre-established saga, I think. And the character, like we talk about Anakin Skywalker being the chosen one and everything. By the time you get to 9, that's just all out the window. You know, the sacrifice of overthrowing Palpatine and, you know, Rey all of a sudden being the chosen one now and everything with a prophecy. That wasn't Lucas's story and that wasn't his saga. And I think that that's the difference, is that with the prequels, you can go in and you can add TV shows like this that will reinforce the films and will completely revitalize the way that you see them. But I don't think you can do that with a sequel trilogy, knowing all the threads and kind of how it completely is a slap in the face to the original trilogy and the pre-existing story. which 9 did completely betray, in my opinion. You could argue some aspects of 7 and 8 did as well, at least to me, but 9 is that sort of all-out, I can't be seeing this. Like, I would gladly wipe this from continuity if I could, because of the ramifications of what it does to the ending of Return of the Jedi, which was, for the long part, the end of the saga. And, you know, the whole story was told, but...
9 does that. 8 is the only one we know that followed any form of George Lucas story anyway.
In some respects, at least with the Luke stuff.
The Luke stuff, the Rey stuff, same concepts, just no midichlorian.
Which I've always said is the best part of The Last Jedi. I've always said that is the best part of that film. Yeah. It's just the Poe stuff and the Finn stuff that I have a problem with, really, which lets the film down.
But my issue is more 9. I say, you know, it would have been great if they delayed it a year, but the year they would have delayed it to was coronavirus. So could you imagine a world in which 9 was postponed a year and we still don't have it out now, and it ends up being the 9 we've seen? Yeah. Could you imagine the hype? Not even politely put hype. I'm saying if that film had been delayed and we still didn't have it out and it ended up being what it was, I don't know if there'd ever be a reaction like it to a film in history, in truth. Just a quick comment from Dave.
Yep.
Clone Wars transitioned the prequels for me. I really had issues with them. Exactly. I think Clone Wars is that for a lot of people. And obviously love the battle of Ahsoka.
Yeah, we should probably go back to the Clone Wars, but
yeah,
I love the smoke coming off the lightsabers with the rain. I think that's really, really cool.
I don't like the fact they go to Yavin. I had this as a kid.
Yeah, it's the familiar territory, isn't it? Yeah, especially before Yavin's like properly a thing when you get to A New Hope. It is a cool fight, though.
I love the rain. Yeah,
and I love the style. Like, have we? I was going to say, if we ever had a lightsaber fight in the rain, I guess you could say from episode 9 you have the stuff, you know, on the wreckage of the Death really Star. Well. But...
And that was what was mad. That was probably one of the best scenes, if only scenes in the film that was good. And it was at the halfway point, and like it was just, and then you got the amazing scene of Harrison Ford after.
Yeah,
but, it was just that film, man. It's just, for every like great scene, there's like. For every 3 good minutes, there's probably like 20 minutes of shites. That's probably the best way I'm going to sum that film up.
Guys, comment below. Would you like to see us one day do a drink-along to Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker? Because we can't do it for the originals.
I'll be crying.
The OCD in us, we've done 1, 2, and 3. Deep down, we want to do all of them, but you can't really do a drink-along to 4, 5, and 6 because they're good. 7, 8...
We probably could.
7 and 8, like, I could drown my sorrows to try and get through it, but there's more.
If we did 1 to 8, I would genuinely get a bottle of champagne, pop it during the crawl, and fill up a wine glass every couple of hours.
But 9's just like ripe for the taking, right? Just completely rip it a new one. It's hilarious. It's terrible, but it's great.
Star Wars.
I love that shot.
Oh, we kind of did one.
Yeah.
This is the thing, right? I think me and you spoke about this. We pre-episode 7. So this is audio as well. The reason I don't think any of us want to do them is because it's our opinions pre the sequels, which is a beautiful thing in itself, that it was that innocence of not knowing what was coming.
Sorry, Jewel of the Faces just kicked in. That was a really cool moment.
Foreshadowing.
This is a really cool shot, though. Love the red lighting.
Yeah, maybe that's why they did Yavin for the moon.
She just gets yeeted off a cliff now, doesn't she? Oh, yes. That's cool. That's cool.
Why isn't she flying anymore?
Strike that pose, Anakin. No! They should have added that in.
He looks like the kid out of Iron Giant.
Hello up there. I'm still alive, but I'm very badly injured.
Dramatic throw.
That's cool. That's cool.
Star Wars retrospective. I think there's ideas to do Star Wars stuff in the future, which is probably the best way of saying it, without having to do a retrospective.
Tom says, "I'd be see." We've got 2 people. See, we've got Carl who says yes with 2 exclamation marks, not 1 but 2. Tom who says, "I'd be well up for an episode 9 drink along." It's something to consider for the future. Who's this dog Jedi? Look at this guy.
I swear he gets yeeted. Why do I feel like I remember him dying?
Look at him. It's like a werewolf. Actually, well, I guess like the werewolves were, you know, in the original A New Hope Cantina bar scene, you can see Wolfman. Does he talk? Please say he barks.
No, he cheered.
Oh, he's like in a rave. He's like Terry Crews in White Chicks.
How did they all break out to get to Mustafar where they'll be safe?
It's a volcanic planet. And again, the clones. I'm so used to the voice actor from the computer animated one.
Yeah. Oh, James. Not James Arnold. D. Bradley Baker.
Mm-hmm,
There's a really funny post. Someone had a new Clone Wars post, the Bad Batch post. It's like, if I was to get this signed by D. Bradley Baker, do I ask him to sign each of the Bad Batch? Because he's got a voice of all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dave's predicted it. He says Shaggy Jedi coming up. Is it Shaggy with like an apostrophe in his name or something? Sorry, but I kicked her ass. Yeah, but Obi-Wan does say...
Here we go. I remember this guy.
Yeah. He does the running. Yeah. That was...
Something like this at the end of season 1 of Clone Wars would have been beautiful for me.
Yeah.
For the...
Yeah. Oh, I had one of those things. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, is Shaggy at the end of Volume 1? I thought that was all Volume 2. Oh, okay. We're getting the best scene right now, ladies and gentlemen. This is the best scene in Clone Wars for me.
And this is why I hate the fact I'm going to keep moaning. The 3D Clone Wars, this is why I hate Grievous, because of how good this scene is.
It's the silence as well. You know, it's just that quiet ambience where you don't know where he is. He's like the Predator. See, I would have loved a Grievous like this in Revenge of the Sith, but as again, like if George Lucas hadn't formed his... It makes me wonder, though, how down to the wire George Lucas was, though, with Revenge of the Sith.
On the page, there's a famous photo where it's like this film will release on like May the 23rd, regardless, or something like that, like a joke in the office.
Mm-hmm. Shark T as well. She's great in this. And again, that was probably not going to lead into it directly because I know that she's sort of like left alive at the end of Volume 2, but there's the deleted scene from Revenge of the Sith where Shark T was aboard Grievous's ship and he kills her. I think she's had so many deaths. She's had like a death in the video game, the original deleted scene death, and then the one that you get in the actual film.
I do prefer the voice in the film.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, the voice isn't great, but the actual mannerisms of him, like, yeah, the tension's great.
He's designed really well for animation.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's this fight or if it's in Volume 2 where we get it, but like they get really creative with how he fights, and he's sort of like he's got lightsabers in his feet, and he's like fighting with those as well.
I think it's this one.
Oh, it's this. Yeah, it's the sound like he's approaching. Love it.
I remember him getting marked.
I think it's Volume 2, but I always, like your lightsabers will make a fine addition to my collection. I was like, oh, those are all the lightsabers from the Jedi that he killed in Volume 2. Again, like another tie-in from this into the films, which I really appreciated. But we don't get that in the computer animated one, sadly. But as I say, there's positives and negatives in both series, I think, overall. Oh,
where does he go?
His body disappears. God damn, he got stomped out. Dramatic cape reveal. Such a good scene. Such a good scene. Yeah, I think it's in this bit now, this shot where he's like fighting with his feet. Awesome.
I remember how hard the boss fight was on the Revenge of the video game.
Here we go. Yeah, I love that bit. I always used to play as him in Lego Star Wars as well on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
And I think he did have that move where he like spins his body around like a helicopter.
Yeah.
God, if we'd have got a Grievous like this in episode 3, like what could have been? But then we wouldn't have had some of the most meme-worthy lines. Oh, I think they just get, and maybe this is like an animation thing, you know, but they just get so creative with the way that he can take down people and how he can use his body and his mechanics to take down people. And you never really get that in the film.
I think you get it with the spinning stuff of Obi-Wan. That's what I always loved at the cinema.
Mm-hmm. But like the bit with the foot there where he like claws someone's face and like crushes him into the ground. It's very ninja-like. Like there's do you remember when I talked about Metal Gear Solid, the video game? In Metal Gear Solid 4, the main character from Metal Gear Solid 2 basically becomes like a cyborg ninja between games. And it's very sort of like over the top anime style, and he fights with like a katana in his foot, and he has like 2 swords and one in his foot, and it always reminded me of Grievous. I think that's it. Does that take us to the end of volume 1? There we go. We'll let the credits play out. We've got about 40 seconds left. I've got to hit the credits so we don't skip to the next one. We're going to let this one play out, and then we'll all resync, and then we'll start volume 2 afresh. I guess we can sort of give like an initial opinion on volume 1 then. I love that, going back to that. It's weird how it kind of all comes back to you sort of scene by scene. I didn't remember a lot of it. I remember sort of like Dirge being the big muscular thing, the Grievous scene at the end. I thought all the Grievous stuff was saved for volume 2. I didn't realize that we got a glimpse of him in this one. Cartoon Network. God, the memories.
And that's,
Johnny Bravo.
That's where the big Disney, that's the big fallout, because Cartoon Network wouldn't allow them to take the rights back, and it was all very. Because I do think, I will say, I think if Disney, when they bought them, I reckon they would have let Clone Wars carry on had Cartoon Network have not put the legal system in place. It's what they had to do with Netflix, right? To get the rights back, they had to cancel the shows to then activate the rights withdrawal stuff.
Yeah. And
I think it was just I mean, to be fair, I'm not going to moan because they got to do Rebels, but I'm going to very quickly nip to the loo though, just while we're in a little gap. So everyone take a minute or two, get yourself ready on 0 seconds for volume. It's so weird saying volume 2 with Star Wars, but I will return.
That's cool. Right, guys, you've got me for a little while, for like 5 minutes or so. How are we all doing? Let me know your opinions on volume 1 so far. Was it as you remembered it? Do you think it holds up? That's the big question. Do you think it holds up? I enjoyed it. I still love it. And I think, you know, nostalgia plays a big part with stuff like this. There are some over the top scenes, definitely. I always preferred, so as I mentioned, like, I've got my DVDs here. Volume 2 was always the one for me. And I think that if you go on Wikipedia, it kind of lists the structure of the episodes out, how it was very short episodes for volume 1. Or I guess, so seasons 1 and 2 were 3 to 5 minutes apiece. And you can kind of see that there isn't that much connective tissue between all of the segments in this volume 1. It very much is sort of like these random sort of segments, like we're going to have Kit Fisto fighting droids, and then, you know, we're going to have some Asajj Ventress stuff, and then we're going to have Obi-Wan faces Dirge. But volume 2 was where it all came together for me, which I guess sort of sums up season 3, which was 12 to 15-minute episodes. It's much more story-driven, and I think the fact that we get more Grievous and the fact that it leads directly into Revenge of the Sith. We have Anakin being knighted. We have him going on his trial where he kind of discovers a lot about himself. Seasons 2 is like where it all came into it for me, volume 2. Yeah, he's back. I can't hear you, George.
There we go.
There we go.
All right, I had the mute button pressed on still. It was really weird watching this.
Brian says, Brian, sorry, Jesus Christ, Dave. Christ, I've had too much wine. Can't wait for trippy blue paint slugs. I remember like these giant lumbering blue bear-looking things, but I don't remember any slugs in there. I guess we'll wait and see. Are we jumping straight into this thing, or?
I'm pretty good. If everyone's ready, you're all on 0 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm ready for you guys.
Okay, we'll do the same again. So we count down from 3, and we'll all go on go. 3, 2, 1, go. Hour and 3. That first one flew by. I will say that. Now we weren't watching it for the most part, but I was just saying
this was even shorter.
This was the one for me though. This volume, because this is where it switched from 5-minute episodes to like 12 to 15-minute. This was much more story driven and like much more focused, I think.
And I think this was much later, probably in the Revenge of the Sith development, for them to know what they want to do to build into it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was Frodo then. It's called Fordo.
I always remember this. It was such a weird design. You've got like the Ark carrier, the Ark troop carrier, and then you've got like a face painted on the front. Carl says, can't believe the most important question of the night hadn't been asked. What's everyone drinking at home? We did actually open with that, Carl, but I will go over it again. I've got a red wine, Valpolicella Ripasso. I don't know wines. I just try and go for a new wine each time I pick one up. It's a red wine. It says that it's sort of like a fruity taste to it. It's full-bodied, and that's good enough for me. It's wine, and that's it.
JD and Coke. We keep things simple here. I really don't remember much about Volume 2 except the ending and a couple of grievous things.
I thought that was a grenade there that got through into the middle of those super battles. I just wanted to see one dive on it like Captain America in the First Avenger.
Did you see how weird they looked when the ship was landing? It looked like ghosts.
Yeah, it's that ship. It's like the mouth on the front. It's kind of cool that they've customed it, but it's just so strange. Like,
how am I okay with vaccines? You're not drinking. Fair enough. I'm envious you've had your vaccine eventually, apparently, for our age group. I guess this probably kickstarted that they'd customize the clones as well, because that was obviously a massive thing for the animated series.
I love that he like issues the commands, doesn't he? Yeah. It's weird how it all comes back. I probably haven't seen this in well over 10 years, guys. I do want to say that. This has been a long time. Oh, we're straight back into this bit. I don't even remember. So, I mean, like, Mundi completely ripped and just, like, holding his own and then just taken out by, like, 5 clone troops on Maigito.
I mean, Mundi's a bit of a dick. There was a great video that's explaining why he's the biggest villain in all of Star Wars history.
Yeah.
But I used to call him the Egghead when I was a kid before I knew his name. He was just like that. He was like that guy that had an egg on his head.
Mm-hmm. Carl says, all I had was Strongbow dark fruits. I don't believe I've ever had the pleasure. I'm not much of a Strongbow fan.
I did go out for a meal on Thursday, and it was insane being like back in public, like with other people eating. It was really strange. He looks like Batman.
Flip. Ooh. Do your little crab walk that he does in Revenge of the Sith into the hamster wheel.
I love that.
I hate
the way
that.
The body, like,
the worst design.
It's the body, the way that the body just gets into it. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, I like how he like flips into it, but the actual vehicle is my least favorite vehicle in all of Star Wars. It's like
remember the trailer shot. Every trailer shot had it jumping off the edge onto the random thing.
I just hate how it's got legs and it kind of has a mind of its own and it can run, but it's also a wheel thing. Like
they extracted urine from them.
Did I say Frodo in the subtitles?
That's what I kept thinking. It's like Fordo.
Here we go. Your lightsaber will make a fine addition to my collection.
To his pelvis.
I just keep thinking that like red thing. That just reminds me of like Talia al Ghul from The Dark Knight Rises with the little red button. I think this is a cool shot. Ruined his cape though. It's a beautiful cape that he has in Revenge of the Sith. Oh no, he doesn't have the cough yet. Doesn't have the cough yet. He gets that at the end.
Oh god.
Oh, I had that haircut when I was young. That's why I used to identify as Anakin. Had that unfortunate basin haircut. Oh, I don't remember this.
Like you can tell they couldn't get Liam Neeson for this one.
Yeah. It's not bad though. Oh, that is a nose. God, he's got my nose. I had that haircut as a kid and that nose as an adult. Jesus.
He's got the Dooku chin.
Yeah.
Like Apprentice.
Do you think that's how Dooku picked his apprentice? Like, it's got to have the same chin.
So disrespectful to Obi-Wan.
Right.
You knew Qui-Gon for a day, mate.
Oh, he was dead though, wasn't he? By this point in the canon, the little pink Yoda guy from Phantom Menace with the eye patch. The guy
he was dead in the new Clone Wars. He was dead in the new Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Not this Clone Wars. The new Clone Wars. His
no,
fate
that's what
unknown.
I mean. But yeah, like in canon, he was dead, wasn't he? Sort of like in between 1 and 2, I guess.
Yeah, the amazing arc.
He's such a weird guy. That guy, because he's got like a snake tail, hasn't he? How can he fight in a lightsaber fight? How is he going to move around?
And he's proper French in the Clone Wars as well, the little Yoda one.
Oh, is he? Do they have him in there?
He gets killed. He's with Tarkin on a mission.
Oh, okay.
It's a great episode. When you get to it, it's the Citadel.
I didn't even remember him being in it. I thought like he was dead before that point, but
what's that mean? A trial of the
flower? I know. I was thinking that. Like, ugh. They all sit like this, don't they? Or Plo Koon's got the best with his like massive fingers, like wedged together.
He looks like he's itching to come out of the sea.
He's like throwing gang signs and everything. Like, go Web, go! Rancis. That's his name.
I bet when you depicted him, you read the names like fuck's sake. You know that Ricky Gervais meme when he meets the person in the office on the blind date?
I think so. I think I've seen that. See, I love this. Like, you get to see this ceremony. And I think actually, like, there's 2 bits in canon that's like been taken from this. Like, obviously, Dirge coming back, which we mentioned, but I think also this like knighting ceremony of a Jedi has been done in. I don't know if it's like video games or a novel or something. I seem to remember reading that they've done something like that. The hell?
Kanan's made one, but that's all a bit weird because they're all dead.
Christ, they're like all Scooby-Doo.
It's like Dead Man's Chest. It's like Dead Man's Chest crew. Is that like a brown Greedo?
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it? Oh, there's the Biff. Look at him. Probably got like a gig coming up or something. Oh yeah, no expense spared on the background aliens on this. Jesus Christ. Imagine if you just fucking killed it right there.
Is this when we get the big reveal? Doesn't 3PO do a big reveal when he turns gold as well?
Dave's got it in the comments right there. Amazing cape throwing off reveal for C-3PO coming soon. I'll drink for the cape reveal.
She's got a giant forehead with that design.
She has a little bit. She's got like massive Disney eyes though for some reason.
Anime. It's they have that weird glisten over the top.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already married, so they don't need this speech. One thing we never saw.
Is that a compliment? Sorry, go on.
Like going through the trials and what it actually entailed. Yeah, I'd agree.
Going through the trials. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I quite like this. You see him go through a trial. I'm waiting for this dramatic reveal.
It's got like a Gandalf hat under there. Look at where the hood is.
Oh, is this a... Oh, he's gonna get naked. Come on, do it. Do it through it. Yeah! You stud!
This feels like Lucas writing.
They did the most impressive name thing. They did the... Oh my god, I'm just gonna down my drink to that. I want to go back to a comment that Anakin said to Padme just a minute ago before 3PO showed up. He said to her, "You look really good in the dark." I don't think that's a compliment. If I said to a woman, "You look really good in the dark," that implies like, "Oh, for God's sake, turn the lights off. I don't want to look at you." Like, you look good in low lighting. Like, what's that meant to mean? Oh man. Oh. Oh,
literally, he knew him for a day. If I was Obi-Wan, a guy that taught me for years and years and years, and this little shit who knew him for a day was piping up, he's not going to make it out of that day.
Anakin's like, "Get your fucking hand off me."
You're my brother.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, it ties in. Time for you to get a proper fucking haircut. Let's get rid of that braid. Why do they have that braid? Oh, this is cool. This is awesome. I love this.
Yoda doesn't reach the height limit.
Although, doesn't he do like the whole like IW sir kind of thing? Doing that with a lightsaber? Are you kidding me?
I know. Imagine if you had like a twitch.
The control, the trust.
How did he do it to that Jedi, the giant head in episode 1?
Right? This is what I mean. It's so impractical. When you introduce like Jedi from other races, it just complicates the whole thing.
Just think, during all of this, Baby Yoda's in the temple. That's just creepy.
It's cool though. Like I like how she.
I'm just gonna put it. Yeah, but she should have worn her deathbed then.
I was trying to think. She doesn't have it. She just has the Japor snippet, doesn't she, at the funeral? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, R2's actually in this. Like, by God. Oh, what's this? It's weird. Okay. Oh, I love that ship. That ship. The yellow Jedi stuff. Oh my God. Loved it.
I still maintain today we need a new pod racing PS5 game, as we also do a Quidditch World Cup. Ray shields.
Activate ray shields. The hell? So, hey man, listen, we got these Jedi. What? One, is it? Who's this guy? He probably has a name, probably in a Wikipedia.
I thought that was Lord of the Rings story. I thought that was one of them little Nazgul things on a horse.
How did you not notice those landing?
I'm trying to remember who these
he's got the haircut now. He's got the haircut. Strike the pose. Strike the pose. There we go. Yeah.
His hair looks a bit long.
It's fine.
That haircut doesn't suit Obi-Wan on 2D animation. I will say that. You kind of get the flowingness like through a live action. Oh, not him. So you can tell how far into development this probably was for episode 3. Because they got the costumes as well. The Tri-Fighters. Arc 170 fighters. The ships. It's quite interesting, actually.
Those things, are they the things on Kashyyyk? Or no, the thing on Utapau.
What is that?
It's the dog
Bubbles.
guy again. Ayla Sakura.
Why have they got bubbles for?
See, I know this is stylized, but you still get this in the computer animated one. It's when Jedi do completely over the top stuff, like, and then you go to like the original trilogy. And I know it's limitations, but Jesus Christ, they're like superheroes.
Just think, I believe Kenobi is filming now or about to start this week. That's mad to think that's still happening.
It'd be interesting to see how grounded they keep it. I suppose they've got to keep it more grounded. Like, I know we've seen Obi-Wan do ridiculous things in the prequels, but we're getting... Oh, you don't even see him get the scar in this, but at least you can sort of say that, oh, he got it in battle somehow. But again, in the computer animated one, it's just like, we just throw it into it, aren't we?
Got it.
He just has... Exactly, yeah. Again, another plus for this series. I like that we get context for stuff.
I think, didn't they say it's so expensive, apparently, to change... I mean, you know actually better than me. Apparently, it's so expensive to change character models. That's why most animated shows, they're always the same, and they have like one costume a season.
Or
I'd imagine for 2D, that's probably easier.
Probably when the... you know how you get the...
Oh, it's Cody.
Yeah. Where you get the progression of animation and you go to like Clone Wars Series 1. Sorry, the Clone Wars Series 1, and it's like really shitty animation. Then especially when you get to Season 7, like Jesus Christ. It's just... But I know they updated the designs throughout, so...
I think Rebels did a big jump for them. What that was able to do.
This is Lion King. Slimy yet satisfying.
He's probably could say, because I was a slave growing up, you ignorant bastard.
It's all those nights in with Shmi Skywalker eating bugs because that's all they could afford. I guess the voice actor does a good job of Hayden Christensen, just a really sort of monotone, bored voice, which is fine. It's, that's Anakin now, but...
So 3.
Was he the guy who did the voice to him in the video game? Because he sounds really familiar.
Like, did they get Hayden in to do it? No, I think Hayden does it in the game.
I don't think it's Hayden. It sounds similar, but I don't think it's him. Like, you get the alternate ending at the end, where if you can play the final level twice if you get a different outcome. And it's that Anakin kills the Emperor. And he's like, "No, the galaxy belongs to me," and it's this really bored, monotone voice.
Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith voice actors. Okay, it just has the names.
Carl has a great comment. He's got, speaking of the Obi-Wan show, how much of Hayden Christensen do you think we will see? That's really difficult because they've said that Hayden Christensen's going to be in it. And I mean, canonically at that point, he's in the suit and he can't get out of the suit. So what's the point in casting Hayden Christensen, especially when you're going to have the voice that's going to be like James Earl Jones as Vader, So I think we're going to get flashbacks. I think they're going to try and do some like digital de-age stuff, which I'm all for. If we get some stuff like from really, really early on when Obi-Wan was training up Anakin, like i.e. in between episodes 1 and 2, that would be really cool. Even some live action Clone Wars stuff in that armor that you see in the thing. I would love to see that. So any kind of thing that's going to bolster that friendship. I think that's what Obi-Wan's going to be. We keep talking about that we want it to be really depressing and sort of like Vietnam flashbacks. I want to see brand new flashbacks and time periods that we haven't seen with Obi-Wan and Anakin and just really go into that. And again, what we talked about earlier, sort of bolstering the prequels with those added flashbacks. That's just going to give you so much more context when you do eventually go back and watch those prequel films with all the added stuff.
There's an actress in it. I think I just had to Google it. Simone Kessel. A lot of people saying she could be young Ahsoka. She doesn't look young enough to be young Ahsoka, but she's very much got that sort of chin. That oh god, what's her name? I've forgotten her name. That played her in Mando.
Rosario Dawson.
That's it. She's got the chin. I think we're going to get flashbacks in Absolute Truth, and I'm all here for it. I'm very curious. It's a very interesting cast as well. Not necessarily big names, but interesting. It's like a Rupert Friend in it, one of the Savvy brothers. I always say, I mean, it's O'Shea Jackson Jr., but let's be honest, it's Ice Cube's son. So I've got a horrible feeling that he will meet up with Darth Vader.
Mhm.
And if they handled it well, I wouldn't have an issue. But I'm very, 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 very not. I don't want to say concerned, but if he did pop in it must be the best written thing in Star Wars. That's how strong I feel about the not meeting.
I'm
I think
concerned
it's
about it because
flashbacks.
I know that's the rumor mill that Obi-Wan and Vader are going to fight, and that will fuck with the original trilogy for me, and I'll have a problem with that. The whole essence of that part and what makes that part so great in A New Hope, in hindsight, with the prequels and everything, is that is their first meeting again after Mustafar.
But they never say it.
It's pretty much implied that it is, though, isn't it? When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. It pretty much is going back to that part, and that just adds so much more drama to that moment in A New Hope when you have the whole saga in context of itself. I think if it's like the same thing that they did with the comic books, where you have Luke fighting Vader. In between A New Hope and Empire. I'm like, no.
Another reason not to read the comics.
Exactly, and I think it'll actually be worse if they have Vader meeting Obi-Wan again in between, because then it's like the Dooku moment as well that they fucked up with the Clone Wars. My powers have doubled since the last time we met. Count what, like the 5 times that they fought each other in Clone Wars. Like, it just, when it messes directly with the pre-established films, that's when I have a problem. I'm fine with Vader being in it. It makes sense that he would be the antagonist if it is going to cut away to like a greater antagonist. We know they can't do Darth Maul, not really, because they've I think they've done everything they can with that storyline, and they meet each other for the first time in Rebels, don't they? So they won't meet during the events of that part. So Vader is really the only antagonist you could do. You could maybe have an antagonist that's specific to Tatooine, but I'm fine with Vader being in it, but I don't want him to meet Obi-Wan at all.
The only thing I'll say is that there is no knowledge that Obi-Wan would think Vader's alive. And that's what I've seen. So that's why if there is a meeting, to me, it's got to be only for that reason. Mm-hmm. Because if this is going to be a drama, which looks more like it could be, then that would be a massive reveal, which I think would work well. Because I'm assuming this is not that I want it. Well, actually, I do want it to be really depressing, but there's got to be an essence to it of what this story trying to tell, and that's what I'm here for. Is it him sort of sitting there, sort of drinking in his failures as a master, and that's why I'm intrigued to see what they do with it. But there's been so much time devoted to it. I think they've been patient with it. They've not rushed this. They've took delays and said, we're delaying this for our right. This needs to be done right. So I trust them that this isn't something getting pushed out at 200 miles an hour, because they know that I don't think Yoon would have come back if it was something shit, and I'm going to add that to it as well. Especially with this, what you said about the prequels in the past, him coming back for him as a closure and getting the story he deserved back then.
Well, I don't know. I think money talks. I think he would have come back regardless. But
he would have come back regardless. But I don't think he wouldn't have come back for another. You're going to be on a green screen for a year. He said no. I think there's a reason he's got a producer credit in this series.
I am concerned about it though, because I know there wasn't like a big shake-up with like the writers, and
they switched the writers
to like rewrites and everything.
They kept the same director for the entire thing, which is something more important.
I'm hoping the fact that they cut it back to 6 episodes, was it? It was originally going to be 8 or 9, wasn't it? And they cut it back to 6. I think that's for the benefit of the story, and it's like, let's just trim the fat and let's just get like a really tightly written,
like Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
it told a story across 6 episodes. There wasn't any padding episodes. It was like, this is the essence of it.
Yeah,
and that's what they need.
And even with like Mando, you can say, like, I know that's kind of the identity of Mando, is that each episode is very episodic, but we had that frustration, didn't we, with those filler episodes where it's like, just give me the plot that you're telling, just even if you've got to cut it back to 6 episodes or whatnot. Because really, you could kind of get that. Even with Mando season 1, you probably have about 4 or 5 episodes that are actual core plot, and then the rest is just sort of disparate adventures each time. And you get the same with, to a lesser extent, season 2. I think by the midpoint of season 2, like episode 3 or 4, each episode was continuing that story, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
But
they look so much like Stormtroopers with this animation style.
Yeah.
Is this the blue slug that Dave meant?
I guess so. Yeah, I know there's like a sort of like a blue tribe of people that look kind of like bears.
Oh yeah,
And they need Anakin to help them. I think it's like take down the industrial stuff. I think it's like sort of like Avatar, where you've got like the natives of the planet, and then sort of like this industrial force that's coming in. And I think that they recruit the help of Anakin to destroy the droids. I think, if I remember rightly.
I think so. And the Jedi don't want to get involved.
And then like Anakin's like this prophesized hero. Like they've got cave paintings of like a man with a robotic arm that will save them, or something like that. Are these the things? Yeah. Oh god, they are like Na'vi.
I look like Avatar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe this inspired James Cameron.
Oh god, when we get 2, 3, 4, and 5, I'm just gonna want to kill myself. Like, I don't want any more Avatar films. Oh, this music. Love it. I always remember that shot from Phantom Menace as well, with those, where you see it landing in the Naboo forest.
I did a bit of a craving the other day to sit down and watch the prequels.
Yeah, yeah.
I always do, but I'm holding out. I always do it once a year.
We were talking though, wasn't we, like the other day, like peaks and wanes with Star Wars. Like sometimes it can get too much and you just want time away from it. But when you come back to it, I think for me the prequel love is going to be strong when Obi-Wan's almost about to come out. I think that's when I'll go through the prequels again, and hopefully finally finish Clone Wars, because that would be nice to get through them all. I keep getting into it and then I keep getting distracted by all of the stuff. So I'd quite like to go through it again at some point. Are these like ice banthas? Like, oh wow, it is Avatar. Jesus Christ! Like these, I think it's like the blokes of the tribe. Like they're these massive bear-looking things, like they've been lifting, proper dad bod kind of things. Yeah, even Dave says it. Oh look, it's the Na'vi. Yeah. James Cameron, you've got some explaining to do. Did you watch the Clone Wars as well back in the day?
I wonder if this was a sign of George Lucas doing the whole, I'm going to do these filler episodes that no one cares about.
Mm. And again,
I think they did this. I swear they did this on a snow planet in that Clone Wars too. There's like a corrupt senator.
Well, it's like those Mando things, isn't it? It's like a tribe of villagers that are trying to be peaceful, and these forces come in, and we've got
to
always
the Seven Samurai thing, isn't it?
Yeah. But I like this because this is like the test for Anakin. This is like his trial. God, I think he's already dead, isn't he? Jesus Christ.
He's got like crust on his eye.
Yeah. Ugh. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Like what? I love those things.
Oh, the rollers.
They were so fun on Battlefront 2. I think they were on Geonosis, weren't they?
Yeah.
C-3PO antics. We got Captain Typho though.
It's I will never get over Captain Panaka, man.
It was meant to be him, wasn't it? And he didn't want to come back for it.
He didn't want to film it in Australia because 2 and 3 were there.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we'll recast you with a New Zealander.
Was it in canon? Is his cousin or something? I think, isn't it?
Something like that. And I think there's some canon story that like Captain Panaka was in the Emperor. He was high up with the Empire because it's like all that sort of nonsense stuff. And I'm saying like the dude was filming Holby City, and he still is.
Yeah.
Every like blue moon, like mom will be watching. I'll pop down. And it's like, oh my god, it's Captain Panaka still in Holby City.
And he hasn't aged a day. It's ridiculous.
No.
That's mad. I've never noticed that Mace Windu has a purple Jedi Starfighter. Guy's got a hard on for the color purple.
What a terrible pilot. Does he really need a ship after what he did in that little planet?
Oh, I guess this is like a Jedi thing then, because I thought this was just something that Anakin did in Episode 2, but apparently not. All Jedi can free fall through Coruscant.
He loves punching things.
Oh, he like pilots it by just grabbing wires, because that's how technology works. He's like hacked into it by grabbing a wire. What?
What are your thoughts? Would Mace Windu have beaten the Emperor 1-on-1?
Would he have beaten him? Well, he kind of did.
So when people believe it's the Emperor playing him, I think
that's
Windu
what I was
beat him.
thinking. Maybe, yeah. Like did he know that Anakin was gonna? Well, okay. The bit beforehand where it's like that really weird sort of like ethereal music, and Anakin's in the Jedi Temple waiting, and you get Emperor Palpatine's voiceover. Is that Palpatine communicating with him, or is that Anakin remembering the previous conversation? Because if it's the case that Emperor Palpatine was communicating with him directly, then you could argue then, yeah, Palpatine was probably throwing the fight and he was waiting and buying his time because he knew that Anakin was going to show up and he'd have everything planned out. But I don't know. It genuinely looked like Palpatine got surprised by the attack from Mace Windu. And I think you could argue that even with Episode 9, I don't want to bring that into it, but I'm going to anyway, that Palpatine, he's a good fighter, but he's not the more physical fighter. He's more about his planning and his formulating of plans. Even the Yoda fight was pretty close, I think. I'd call that more of a draw than like an all-out win, but that's his voice. It's time to get a new one. Yeah.
I love how different all their voices are in like the other Clone Wars.
I love
Ida Secura's like French.
Oh, that's a cool helmet. Is that Dirge's helmet? Is like Mandalorian's helmet? No, I love Plo Koon's really posh British voice. And that just makes me love him even more. I've always loved Plo Koon. I think that goes back to like the old PlayStation games, but they 0G, don't they? Yeah. That's cool. Really impractical, but cool. They are still coming through. Wait, what? Gravity works like that in space? Everything's 0G, but then as soon as he's on the ship, he just jumps straight in. Like, okay. Carl says, I'd love to see an animated retelling of the Star Wars game, The Force Unleashed. Ooh. That was a great game. Not so much the sequel, but the first one was great. And again, I remember that coming out and everyone going, oh, this is canon. This is...
It was at the time.
Yeah.
But it was part of that sort of ridiculous...
George Lucas provided over this or something, and it's considered canon or whatnot. Really over the top, though, as a game. So over the top.
I remember it's like you can destroy and like eviscerate stormtroopers and...
Well, he brings down Star Destroyer, doesn't he? That was in the trailer. Like...
Exactly, and it's... What I will say is that game gave us Sam Witwer in Star Wars, which is probably a bigger contribution for future things.
I was going to say, I think that was his introduction, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that for years. For some reason, I thought he was new in Clone Wars, but no, he was none. It's got its fans. I did like that first one, and it's...
One of my biggest disappointments, though, was the second one. Like, I pre-ordered that game, full price. I think it was like £40, maybe, or just slightly over. And I got it.
It was like 2 hours.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, no, I got it. I think it arrived here at like 10 a.m. I threw it straight in, and by like lunchtime, I'd completed it. I was like, this feels like an ending boss. I've only been playing it for like 4 hours. This is mad, and that was the end. And it's sequel baited. Obviously, we never got the sequel, but I basically paid £10 per hour of the game. It was mad.
What I used to love back in the day was, do you remember Love Film?
Yeah,
They used to do game rentals. So what you do, we'd just milk games off them, and it was so good for stuff like that. But yeah, I think I got the first one on my Mac. I got do you remember the Humble Bundle? Yeah, we do them every couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got like these 15 Star Wars games, and only like 2 of them can be used on the Mac. I just remember that first episode of Vader throwing all the Wookiees off the cliff. Like, because if you didn't walk forwards far enough, they'd just keep spawning. It was so much fun.
I think a big thing as well, because it was like PS3 hype, wasn't it? I know it came out on PS2, like a really sort of bare bones, shitty version of Force Unleashed came out, and then you had the PS3 version, which was like the main version. And a big thing at the time was the capabilities of the PS3 was the destructive environments, was the crumbling doors, and like picking up a stormtrooper and how they'd ragdoll and sort of grip onto other stormtroopers and everything. So going back to it now, I mean, it's probably nothing, but back at the time, I remember going, one of my favorite things to do is where you do that sort of like shockwave that you send out, like that orb that just like knocks everything back. It was fun. I enjoyed it for what it was, but it was very over the top as a Star Wars game.
I know they just announced that Fallen Order is going to get a PS5 upgrade. Like it's going to get remastered for PS5.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be free for everyone that has it on PS4, which is fair enough because I played it once and I didn't go back to it. But if I'm going to get a free upgrade to PS5, I'll give it another go because I finished it and I liked it, but there wasn't much to do except do the main story. There's no.
I think it's on offer at the moment. Actually, on the store, I think it's like £15.
Yeah, Battlefront 2 is down to a $5, which is 100% worth buying because that's better than the original Battlefront 2. I'd say. I think the Starship one's half price, is like 15 quid, just because it's the May the 4th offers.
Dave says slugs. I guess that's what he was referring to. Yeah, it's Fordo. Every single time I see that, I just keep seeing Frodo.
Does he die in this? Like, did he not make it to episode 3?
He must do, yeah. He's pretty fucking awesome, though. Look at he's like Commando. Look at him.
Is this when the ARC Troopers come in?
What is that horse thing?
It's a Fathier. It was planned all along. Ryan Johnson. I'm joking. Could you imagine who it actually is? Joke. I don't think it is.
I hope not. He's put. Oh my god! Oh god!
3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
6,
8.
That's 6. Oh my!
8. It's a good thing you're not doing force throwing them.
Mace Windu, can you please stop punching things for my own health? Is this Palpatine?
Oh shit! We're near the end.
Yeah. This is where he gets kidnapped, isn't it? Oh, this is the bit I remember. I will get to my drinks in a minute. I think these were the Jedi, weren't they? Were the ones that Grievous takes the lightsabers off, I remember.
Well, I think there's no fast travel. Carl, nail on the head. I once spent an hour on Dathomir and it took me like 20 minutes to get back to my ship and I just quit the game. Honestly, it's so... Because some of the maps are so... insane, and you can't just run past the stormtroopers.
Mm. Doesn't Grievous just like show up, just like poke his head out the window?
Yeah, like, I think I remember.
Does he hang down? Yeah.
He's behind you.
Who broke the window?
His feet.
You didn't see his feet though.
I just assumed he did.
Cape just flapping. Look at it. It's billowing in the wind. I was going to say something. So, I love these Jedi so much in this. These like background characters. That you know how in the Lego, I think it was Lego Star Wars 2 on the PS2, the original trilogy one.
They put them in it.
You could customize. Like there was 2 characters you could customize at the end who you could play as. You could sort of like mix and match different Lego pieces and sort of create them in a tank. I created the is it the Ipthorian, the one with like the 4 throats, the giant-headed guy. I created him, and oh god, who else did I create? I think I created Quinlan Voss, who isn't in this, but I always loved that character. But I know I created that Ipthorian as like a blue lightsaber wielding Jedi. Because
why aren't they all shooting him?
That run.
And it looks like Palpatine's carrying her.
I love this bit, though, with Ipthorian, where he just sort of, like, roars the corridor. It's like a shockwave, and, like, Grievous, it's like this sound wave pushing Grievous back, and he's, like, clawing into the ground to get... Oh, I love it.
What a terrible elevator.
He just keeps hitting the button, like, come on! This bit is so cool. Carl, I'm 100% with you, my friend. This whole lead up to the beginning of Revenge of the Sith is probably would be. Absolutely.
I think there's a reason they didn't want to show it in the series last year.
This bit. And it's when it does the close-up of Grievous and he's like trying to claw his way forward. It's awesome. Oh, wait, no, I think they do it again. He must do it again in a minute. Four throats. See, it's I've retained pointless information. Put that on my CV. Like, how are you qualified for this job? Well, I know that an Ipthorian has 4 throats.
Do you think if Clone Wars...
You see running down, hang on, this is one of my favourite shots.
Yeah.
You see Grievous just sort of running down with the elevator. He just looks in. Yeah. Go on, sorry, George, what were you saying?
Do you think if Clone Wars had the original ending, like not 12 episodes, like the entire original ending, do you think they did a whole arc on this kidnap? I reckon they would have.
Yeah, probably. I'd love to have seen that. Like, I love how Clone Wars ended, but it was the fact that this directly led into it, which I really appreciated. And Grievous just being a fucking bad... Oh, it's this shot here. This is where you get like Grievous like running towards him. He claws his way into the ground. Yeah. And he gets low and starts...
He's like a cannon.
Yeah, this bit. Love it. Because actually, weirdly, that's one of my favorite bits from Revenge of the Sith. It's the bit time to abandon... No, not time to abandon ship. You lose General Kenobi, throws the thing, goes out the window, and then you get the close-up of his foot like clawing into the ship.
Love the
Magna Guards. Here we go. Love that sound. Ah, second Wilhelm. Oh, yeah, back to this, the actual plot. Oh, they've been like captured up. They've all got like cyborg arms, I think, like robotic arms, like cannons. They've been experimented on or something, these aliens. And they all like find a kindred with Anakin because he's got a robotic arm. I think that's what it is. They've got like tubes, and I think they've ripped their arms off, don't they? And yeah, and Anakin gets his ripped off, and that's why he gets the black leather one for Revenge of the Sith. Dave says, I don't know about anyone else, but I'm watching episode 3 before bed now. I don't know about all that.
I kind of really want to. I really want to watch Star Wars now. But I probably won't.
I mean, we're not doing that Drinkalong again. We ain't doing that again. We specifically listed this Star Wars Clone Wars Drinkalong, not Revenge of the Sith. But Dave, if you want to go ahead and watch that, you be my guest, my friend. Oh, you see that? Anakin's got them hairy armpits. There's like tufts of hair coming out. Like, Jesus.
Suspenseful instrument music. What a description. Oh, sorry. I thought the first line was about the scene we're watching now, and I was so confused. The whole thing makes so much sense. It shows why Grievous is coughing. Exactly. I think that's, again, going back to my issue of the new Clone Wars, is that Grievous was already a coughing villain in episode 1. Yeah. I don't think he was in the film, am I right? He wasn't in the film.
What do you mean?
I think he was... So in the actual Clone Wars film, the first, like, few episodes which were put together.
No, he was in the show. He came into it in the first few episodes of the show.
This big reveal of him being brought into the Clone Wars as this big new general, but nope, he was already there.
Here we get foreshadowing through cave paintings.
I've got no idea what's going on, I'm not gonna lie.
It's like just becoming more powerful, and like this sort of black arm becoming more and more evil and more corrupting and more violent. It's like Anakin with his arm. Dark side.
It's like the world between worlds.
Mm. So that's kind of cool. I do love that Mortis arc though. The first time I watched it, I hated it, and I think I've been on record saying I hated that arc on Clone Wars, but it's really grown on me over the years. But I love that bit where the son kind of shows him that vision, and you get the bit where he's like losing his mind. Yeah, I love that part. And I think you get like the voiceover lines from that fight from episode 3 as well.
It's like a game sound effect.
Yeah. It's like a platformer. And again, like Shark T, like I didn't give a shit about Shark T as a character until I saw this, and she's really, really fucking cool in this. It's like parkour.
I love they're just still carrying Palpatine.
Palpatine's always getting carried around, even if Revenge of the Sith is getting carried around.
You know what's an amazing plot line which I never clocked?
What's that?
Palpatine wasn't called Palpatine until 1999.
Mm-hmm.
I had to sit there and think. I was like, oh, fuck.
It's just the Emperor, yeah.
Yeah, that's mad when I think about shit like that. And that's probably why people don't mind him being called Sheev.
I like Sheev. It makes sense.
I do too. It's like, oh, like he's got a first name. I was like, okay. Didn't Disney keep that when they took over? That was like a new book. They're like, no, that's staying. It's like mad.
Yeah, was that the Plagueis novel where they introduced Sheev? I can't remember.
It was either Plagueis or Tarkin. It was Tarkin.
That was it. That was it.
I think when they wiped it, they said everything's irrelevant except Clone Wars. Tarkin and Plagueis, maybe? Was it like 2 books? Because I think they were the newest ones. Just casual. It's like the end of Skyfall.
You just get like the Spider-Man 3 like grate in his head alongside the subway train.
We might. Oh, close.
It's a cool sound effect from the trains, though.
Was that the first time it's in? Oh no, it's in Trains episode 2, haven't we?
Do we?
I swear they come off. Oh no, it's a spaceship they get transported to number 1.
Yeah. There might be in a background shot. I can't remember, but
that's like Spider-Man 3.
And even the Magna Guards in this like hold their own. Like they're much cooler in this than they are in the actual. I say this as one just gets taken out. That was good timing. But I don't know. They seem to put up more of a fight, I guess. And even the Jedi as well. It's just like you really get the sense that they are giving it their all. Like everything they've got to try and get away from this guy. And he's like the Terminator. Like he'll just keep on coming. Like there's no stopping him. And I think that would have been a really cool place to go with Grievous, but obviously Lucas went with the sort of cowardly villain, sort of like the Saturday morning cartoon villain, like, I will get you next time, Obi-Wan Kenobi, but whatever.
I love that this is all part of Palpatine's plan.
Jump scare. Yeah. I think we get some casualties now, don't we? Is this where they get killed?
I think so.
I seem to remember Shark T doing something really cool in a minute, and I can't remember what she does.
He sounds like Brad Pitt in the song, in the Fight Club song, like "This Is Your Life."
Oh, this is it. She forces the cloak, and then doesn't she attach him to the train and like sends him? Oh, I don't think so.
He's kind of like, my plan is ruined.
Shark T, can you please not do that? God, they just fly in this, don't they? They just fly. Add that to the Force abilities. Yeah, why couldn't Rey fly? Maybe she should be able to fly.
Rhythmic thudding. What a description.
Oof.
How long's left? This feels like it's like a lot longer than I thought. Oh my god, there's still 15 minutes. For some reason I thought we were in the last 5 minutes. I was so confused then. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be mad watching a James Bond film and it's Star Wars Day.
Yeah, I know. We kind of messed up there, didn't we? But that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
It's a one-off. Maybe next year there'll be a big Stars video. Who knows?
So the Bond.
It'll be the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones.
Oh God! Don't say stuff like that. Don't say stuff like that. Oh, we got Wat Tambas. I love how I called their race by the one guy that I know. Like the race is Wat Tambor.
But does anyone care about anyone else other than Wat Tambor?
He's fucking great. I love him. Gutted when he
died. I love the fact that in that film, like he sees someone get masked. He's like, I'm gonna hide in the next room, but I'm not gonna go under the table.
He's the last one, isn't he? Is he the last sort of one that gets killed?
Yeah. See, like,
you see him sort of like, oh, which way is he going? Which way is he going? Like, I just expect them like running around the table with each other, trying to like get to each other.
I'd have loved the scene if it should Anakin just climb onto the table and be like, oh.
Yeah.
Because I think you see his dead body on the floor when Anakin's fighting
you do.
Obi-Wan.
From the white, yeah, you do.
Do you think if he'd have hid under the table, Anakin wouldn't have known? That I always think that, like, if he'd have gone under the table, I don't think Anakin would have known.
No,
it was a long table.
Do you think his little nipple tweak would have like set out some feedback or something, like a microphone, and then he would just be like, "Oh, there's someone else." I don't even think he. Do you reckon he could have got under the table? He seems quite cumbersome. I don't know if he's quite as mobile to get.
Maybe he tried and his head kept sticking out.
Was there a gap under the table though, or was it like a solid table from the top to the bottom to the floor? Questions that need to be answered. I'm going to have to watch episode 3 again now. Dave, please let me know. Is there a gap underneath that table in Mustafar? We have to know. Yeah, this is still going on. Honestly, looking at them back to back, I think I prefer Volume 1, which is mad because I always used to watch Volume 2 so much more.
It's the snow stuff that it just jumps too far out.
But I do love the Grievous stuff. I think it was mostly for the Grievous stuff and the lead into 3, honestly, why I kept rewatching it. But I did like Anakin's story as well, his trial, and sort of like how that.
Are they pogo sticks?
I swear you see them in the prequels, though.
You see the giant one that's like 100 foot before.
Is that the thing that there's one of those, and then doesn't Anakin sort of like jump on one in the movie? I think it's like the first episode or something, where they're on Christophsis, and then he's like, I swear he like jumps on one that's like really ridiculous.
Oh, in Clone Wars, sorry, yeah, I think Anakin does.
Yeah. Casual conversation as they just sort of annihilate droids. Land in the assembly area. Here
I can't believe they didn't try and contact any of us.
I think we're getting to the chest smash in a minute, aren't we?
Do you reckon Palpatine gave him like a GPS tracker?
Oh.
Sounds more like Tarkin.
Yeah, he does.
Grievous on the ship?
No, he comes down the corridor, I think.
It's like Cloud City.
But I do like how they make them like samurais in this a lot more.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all the Magna Guards, isn't it? Oh, Jesus. Okay. It's go time.
They're like rats.
They look horrible.
And he looks like Scar's gone wrong in The Lion King.
That's a sound effect. What's that from? That gun sound effect. There's a Star Wars trivia question for you. It's prequels, I think.
Sounds like a pistol. Hold on. Is it the 80... The one that they're walking around the Wookiees in? That Wookiee's dead.
Oh, might be. I don't think you hear them shoot, though, do you? They're just walking around.
Oh, yeah. He looks like Danny DeVito's penguin. The precision.
Right. Respect it. He is the chosen one.
Father.
Yeah, they all rip their arms off. I swear they do. And they sort of like... Oh, yeah, okay. So I think, doesn't Anakin sort of like destroy his arm in that thing? It's like a force field, and then they all rip their arms off in honor of him. Something like that. I can't remember.
Probably.
Oh, God. Kyber Crystal. Ultimate power. Palpatine just chilling. He doesn't care. Look at him. George, you're not drinking.
Sorry, I keep drinking, but I'm properly watching it in intense now. One thing I regret is that Magna Guards aren't in the EA Battlefront 2.
Oh, are they not?
They added
weird.
so much Clone Wars and everything. I just don't think they ever got around to the Magna Guards. They did Droidicas, but we all know they're probably working on a third one now, which will be unreal. Battlefield.
She does use one of these things.
I've always wondered, like, what is that electric shit at the end of it? Like, because it can withstand a lightsaber. Is it pure energy?
But she just got hit by it, didn't she? And she was kind
That's
of
what
like...
I never really understood by, yeah.
What are the things that can sort of withstand a lightsaber? Like, the only things I can think of are like Beskar, because the Beskar spear in Mandalorian Season 2 withstands a lightsaber. I guess you've got the
I guess kind of counts.
Yeah.
I guess there's a black lightsaber. I'm so excited when mine arrives. Gotta wait till July. I don't know if I should get it mounted like sideways or like vertically.
Sideways. 100%. You need like the stand and like lay it on like a samurai sword.
Like the DPD was going to knock at the door with this humongous long package. I was going to like spear him.
Now, I can't remember this film. This reminds me of iRobot. Isn't there a similar thing that happens at the end of iRobot where he has to put his arm through something like... Is it Veronica or something? Like he has to shut it down? And I think he like grinds down like this metal thing with his arm. I swear it's like this.
To be fair, this just makes me think of Nebula and Endgame with the little ball.
Yeah.
I guess like any film, someone's got a metal arm because they always end up getting burnt retrieving things.
Is that the Dark Crystal or something?
What throw?
But I like how it explains how he loses that arm. How many times does Anakin lose that arm? Like in canon? Jesus Christ. Loses it in Attack of the Clones, loses it in this, gets a new one, gets it cut off again. No, he gets the other arm cut off, doesn't he, on Mustafar? His robot one survives when he's like crawling up the bank. Then I think Palpatine cuts it off again in the new canon in the comic books when he leaves him on Mustafar. And he gets his hand cut off. Like, Jesus Christ. No, not the Wat Tambas. Crush him. Is at your disposal, Count. He's got like the Braveheart.
Sad monster thing.
Say he's got like the blue war paint from Braveheart. They may take our lives, but they may never take our freedom. There's a lot of dramatic poses in this series, isn't there? Just... Yeah, it's weird how, like... I like Volume 2, but it's... Yeah, it's not...
So different. It's because it's more story-driven. It doesn't work as well, I think.
Uh-huh.
Because, we've got this amazing Grievous thing. It's kind of like we've got this amazing Grievous subplot and we kind of Anakin and Obi-Wan there, so let's put them in another storyline that's not a war. And I just don't think, personally, this one works as well.
But I appreciate that they try and give, like, you know, it's complete foreshadowing for Anakin, but they give him a trial. I know that they already knighted him, but this is kind of like his official knighthood by going on this quest.
I thought I was going to eat it then.
It is quite horrific, though, what they did to this like male race of characters, though. Like, just Jesus.
Oh, it's the guy from Lion King.
Oh, Rafiki. Yeah. That's not a hand, though. Like, you can't pick up things with a feather.
Is it Crash Bandicoot mask?
Ungaba. Foreshadowing.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I think the stuff that I just really give a shit about in Volume 2 is this Grievous,
Grievous.
stuff. Because this is great. This is like great suspense. You see how Palpatine's running with his little limp-wristed run.
He's like going bing bing. It's like he's on like a little. Oh my god! It's episode 9, Blue Filter. I never thought I'd be seeing this again in Star Wars. Do you reckon if they were about to kill Grievous, Palpatine would have like Force Lightning them?
Yeah, I never understood that. Ah, forearms. Here we go. The reveal.
And that was a massacre. I love when he did that in the new 3D watch, the 3D Clone Wars, where he just shoots that stupid young Jedi.
Yeah.
He's like, I can take him.
Dave says, been an awesome watch along, gents. Are you taking off, Dave? If you are, thanks for tuning in. If you're sticking around, thanks for the support. No.
Why didn't he scream? It's like Loki and Thor. Hulk, sorry.
Oh, God, I'd love to see that. Yeah, because this doesn't. So the original deleted scene was that he kidnapped Shark T as well, and she's on the ship, and he kills her in front of Anakin and Obi-Wan. Yeah, on the is it the Hand? Is that what it's called? The Invisible Hand, isn't it? Is that what Grievous' ship's called?
What a great name!
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but
One
in this,
favorite...
like, he just. Oh, here we go. Love it, love it.
You have the cough, then you can hear the Grievous cough. It's like cripple the ship.
Yeah, right. Like, how far can you use the Force? Like, just bring the ship back down. Yeah, because they leave her tied up. She's like, "I'm sorry, Master." Oh, that's it. I failed. Oh, it's the final shot in a minute. The final shot, and it's so good. Yeah. You hand, put the glove on. Yeah.
I keep thinking like it's David Bowie with like a blue painted sort of star in his face.
Yeah, he's still got the blue, and he doesn't have that, does he? That's weird. Has abducted is one word on the subtitles, by the way. That's quite funny. There we go. Hey, there we go. That's it. Volume 2. We're on the credits.
No, it's telling me to watch the final season of the Clone Wars. I would be half tempted to watch the last 4 episodes again, but I really can't be asked.
Yeah. I don't know. That was fun. That was fun going back through that again tonight. As I said, I haven't watched it in like 10 years. It's fun. I'd say, as like considering we've been doing this for what, like, oh my god, like 2.5 hours. That's just breezed through. Absolutely breezed through.
I think because it's something we've not seen in so long, it adds a different dynamic to it.
Oh, the green Lucasfilm logo. Love it. Well, that's it. That was, yeah. Okay, ultimate question. Was it as good as you remember it? No. But there's a lot of elements that I do love about it, and I mean, Carl's brought some of them up as well. The fact that just how it directly leads into 3. A lot of the things that are set up, which kind of fills that gap. I think it fills the gap really effectively, actually. More so in respect than the computer animated one does. But again, the computer animated one has way more series. I like how it utilizes the length of the storytelling in these 2 volumes, whereas, you know, with the computer animated Clone Wars, we keep saying you get so much filler. You get so many like Jar Jar episodes, or really awful R2D2 and C3PO episodes. But when it's good, when you get the Maul stuff or, some of the other drama stuff with it, especially Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Temple. Yeah.
That, I think Volume 2 summed up the Clone Wars, what had gone to be. This incredible plot-driven stuff we're desperate to keep seeing more of.
Yeah.
And then this ridiculous filler. I mean, I don't even want to use the word filler because it's intentional.
Mm-hmm.
It's just weird. But I think Volume 1 definitely is better just because it's showing so much more of what went on and what was going on. But obviously, I understand Volume 2 needs to be tied in more to the Episode 3s because you got to think contextually, this was Episode 3's coming out. They're not doing the whole, this is going to happen. There's the odd bit of foreshadowing, but not the outright foreshadowing.
Same year, wasn't it? 2005. Yeah. So it was like, this is happening. How soon did this come out compared to the actual movie?
I know that I think it was like 23-minute episodes for Volume 1, and then it was like
March 25th it ended. So March, April, May, you'd had 2 months until the movie came out. That's
pretty
mad.
Smart way. I don't know if the film's ever done that now. I know that Blade Runner 2049 had some shorts, didn't it, leading into it?
Yeah.
Except for that, I can't really think of any that would have had the balls to do a sort of come and see that. I wouldn't count
especially
Marvel,
not as big as Star Wars. Like Star Wars would have been mad. You just sort of, back in the day, you'd have been like, give me all the content I can going into it. Now, I will say, I hadn't watched this by the time that I went to see Episode 3.
Same.
So when Grievous showed up, it felt really weird. Like you're just meant to know who this guy is, and it was really random. Like the opening credits, like General Grievous, and his intro is like this meant to be this big reveal. I'm wondering now if sort of like going back, if you'd have been in the know, if you'd have watched this series, if that's this sort of like the equivalent of what I'm sure a lot of people would be like now with Marvel. Like, you might go and see the next Avengers movie. And it's just like, oh, well, if you've seen WandaVision, if you've seen, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you'll have all the lead up to this. And you're not going to have that if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I don't think it was too important for this, only because Grievous is such a small role. But I guess because you have the crawl that sort of puts you in the place of what has gone on for 3 years. And I think Carl's a great thing is some of the opening Revenge of the War. It can't be any worse than the Dead Speak. It's I like the Grievous stuff in that it's a good way of showing one, and also when you go back then, if there was there's going to be a series set for 2 years between films, the whole world would know and they'd overstudy it and overthink it. Whereas I think with some of these played during ad breaks, they're like literally like 2-3 minute shorts. It wasn't like a set time weekly; they just came out and were a thing. Obviously, the latter ones, when they're longer, obviously were probably their own segments and stuff. But it's amazing seeing just how the evolution in technology and everything else, like not technology, like evolution, like what would you say? Like, would you say like industry practice? I don't know what the term would be. Like how the landscapes changed over like 2003 releasing a film versus sort of 2021. Like back then, maybe people did pause and go over every shot. You download a trailer from StarWars.com back in the day, because I remember doing that for Episode 3. But nowadays, within an hour, we'd probably do it. Breakdown. We will go through shot, and there is a time and a place for them, but it would butcher little shows like that, and I'm glad that could exist, because I think it would be extreme otherwise.
Yeah, but I think you still are getting some things that are doing it. Like another one that just came to mind, and I don't know how much it's going to filter into the actual movie, but you've got that Gotham TV show that's going to come out that's going to tie in with Matt Reeves' Batman film. Again, I don't know how much, like if it is going to be explicitly like linked into the film, or if it's just going to be like a fun little Gotham side project thing. But I think you're still getting it. But no, this was great fun going back through this again. I'm actually looking at some other stuff on the Star Wars vintage thing now, because every time that's what I was looking at. Yeah, absolutely. Like every time we get to May, we go, right, Star Wars content. What could we do? What haven't we done on the channel before? We've reviewed more or less every single Star Wars movie. We've done the holiday special. We've done both holiday specials. We've done Battle of the Brackets. What else can we do? Well, now we've got the vintage collection. We still haven't done Caravan of Courage. We haven't done Ewoks, The Battle for Endor. There's a thing on here that says The Faithful Wookiee. There's the Ewok series. I think there's the Droids animated series, but I don't know if that's
going to come at some point this year. I think they announced it will come at the end of the year. So, to be fair, what I'll say, I know this is really relevant, but you mentioned earlier it looked like it was 1080p. I think they've remastered this in HD.
It looks like it, yeah.
And I reckon they're probably doing the same for Droids, maybe, or at least trying to make it look as modern as it could be. Because I will say that one thing Disney's done well is when they've got the old content on the channel, they've done it properly. And I know that is that Faithful Wookiee? I know that they uploaded only the animated part of the holiday special.
Oh, is that what that is?
It's one of them. So obviously, I'm assuming this will be under Lucas's directive still. They're not allowed to upload the holiday special, but they were allowed the animated part of it with Boba Fett. So I'm guessing that could be the Wookiee thing.
I would love them to put the holiday special on there in all of its original glory. Just have this be a bank for all Star Wars content. Actually, I'm kind of now like, yeah, we should go through some of that other vintage stuff, because I'm looking at all the other stuff, and it's like we've pretty much covered every other major sort of Star Wars thing that is on Disney Plus. We've done Mandalorian. We've covered Clone Wars and everything. Well, more or less, we've pretty much done everything on the Star Wars page, but there's a few things on there. As I said, I've never seen Ewoks. I've never seen droids when that eventually gets put on there. I've never seen the 2 live-action Ewok films, so that would be new for me. That could be fun. So, I mean, if you guys enjoyed this, maybe we could always do a drink along to some of those other ones as well. They're on Disney Plus. They're right there. We could watch them whenever. Carl's just uploaded the comment. He's put, that's what's happened to me. My friends were complaining about Grievous, and I had to explain this storyline. They just said it should have been in the movie. Sounds familiar. Yeah, exactly. It should have been in the movie, I think. But I mean, the film was already packed. Like, what do you want? Like, I
like the way 3 started. I like the fact that just Palpatine was kidnapped. If there wasn't a crawl, there would be a good argument for that.
Yeah. I think it's because it's like what 3-year gap, isn't it? I think between 2 and 3. So a lot has happened. I do think you probably needed a little bit more for Grievous, maybe, perhaps a little bit. But yeah, no, this was a great trip down memory lane for me. As I said, I hadn't seen this in over 10 years. There's still a lot of things I like about it compared to it. It's so difficult now comparing it to the computer animated one, because both of them are so fundamentally different from each other, despite being set in the same time period as each other.
Seven seasons, like 140 episodes versus
2
hours 20 minutes. It's you can see that this was not downgrading this series. You can see how this was clearly a backdoor pilot for a Clone Wars series to work or not. And I think that's probably a big thing that Lucas probably started this thought, what would be great if I did this on a budget. And I bet at the beginning he probably said, "Could I do it on a live action budget?" Probably realized within a day, no. But we knew that would come eventually. I know he was trying to try it with the series set between 3 and 4. He wanted it to be like a soap opera, but it was too expensive to ever be a thing. And here we are with those ideas eventually making its way on screen for like Mandalorian, bits of Rogue One, bits of Solo. It's fascinating, but you can see a lot of things in this ended up in that Clone Wars series. It's amazing seeing how different it is, like the landscape. The fact that this finished in 2005 and there was an animated film out in 2008 is mental within itself as well.
In the same time period as well. Like, they didn't go like, oh, we've covered the Clone Wars, let's move on to something else, and I think it's you get like the episode arcs in the computer animated one are fantastic, and you can go into it more in the characters and everything that way. Even the animation style, like, I always prefer 2D over computer animated, but I love that animation style in the Clone Wars, like the computer animated one, even to the point where you get to Rebels and you have moments where like Yoda shows up, or you get like a hologram of Anakin. And the fact that it doesn't look like the Anakin from the Clone Wars in that same animation style was always weird to me. But it's interesting to compare them, especially because they came out so close to each other. But there's elements that I like for both, and I think a lot of this one especially is nostalgia. I think nostalgia inherently does play like a big role in it. Like, I remember, chatting with my buddies at school about this and discovering it through them, really. Like, one of my mates was very much into like all the expanded universe and the canon, and was like, have you ever seen Clone Wars and Dirge and Grievous kidnapping the Chancellor? I was like, no, what's all this stuff? And it was like discovering all this inside information. It was like almost like Trader Secrets or something, and then you finally see it, and it's great. But yeah, it's all part of Star Wars. I'm glad they've put it on Disney Plus, actually. I do appreciate Disney for getting it out there on the vintage section, as it's not canon anymore, but it's there. It's Star Wars content. So yeah, this was great. I don't really know how to round this off, to be honest, but it's good going back through them.
What I'll say, really quick comment. I hate CJR2 episode 3. Yeah,
He's in it.
Already on episode 3.
He's doing it.
add is that there could be a Star Wars video this week, which is the perfect time to plug our social medias. So obviously you've been commenting with this. I'm not rounding up in that way, but as I said, that we're not lying. There could be a Star Wars video this week. We just need to go over some details and some fine-tune things because we don't want to give dates and details of things that might not happen. So the best way to find out about this are getting us on social media, which is facebook.com/cinemasavvy, letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy, Twitter @cinema_savvy, and we've obviously got that TeePublic link below. And obviously, yeah, if you're new, if you've been like, why are these guys talking about the old Clone Wars? This isn't the Clone Wars we know. Go check it out on Disney if you've not watched it already. And if you did watch it, let us know your thoughts, because obviously Bad Batch is coming out this weekend. Maybe there'll even be a Bad Batch video. No one knows. I'm not going to lie. And this is live. I haven't even told Chris. If it's shit, there might be a video. If it's good, if it's good, maybe there'll be a quick review on Tuesday night or Wednesday, and then maybe again in July when it's finished. But what I will say, I guess this is worth saying, we've covered so many Disney Plus things since December. No, November. When did Mando restart? October or November? I can't remember now.
November, I think it was, wasn't it? Into December, I think.
Yeah, it's all been weekly. We're not doing that for Bad Batch. Apparently, there's 14 episodes, and if they're 20 minutes each, it ain't worth it. So maybe there'll be something Bad Batch. We'll let you know on social media. But there is another idea for something else that could come at the end of the week.
I want to bring this up because I was thinking this when we started it. When's the Star Wars Cinema Savvy T-shirt coming? I guess we need to
Star Wars logo.
We don't, and we probably should with the amount of Star Wars stuff that we've done on the channel. We probably should.
The stuff coming up
at some point.
The Star Wars Disney Plus cinematic television universe. I don't know. I mean, I think when we get Book of Boba, I think a trailer's going to come on Tuesday. That is my bet right now. I think Dave Filoni is being interviewed on Good Morning America. Good Morning America always has the Star Wars trailers. I reckon they're going to drop the Book of Boba Fett trailer, and I'm the only person that's made this prediction. So come back to me in 2 days if I'm right or wrong. But yeah, maybe that's something we should be doing behind the scenes. Who knows? We'll have a think. But the problem is that it's so hard to do a Star Wars logo. And that sounds really
I don't know what the
stupid.
copyright's like on it. That's the thing. But Carl,
it'd have to be the gold. It'd have to be the gold above us.
Yeah.
That's
we'll put
like
our heads
the
together.
early noughties. Yeah,
we'll see what we can do with it, because I think there is like a giant Star Wars hole missing from our merch at the moment. But as we mentioned, we do have some new merch, which George has created designs for, which look fantastic. Maybe we'll get a Star Wars one out there. It is May. We're pushing closer to May the 4th. Maybe we'll drop something. Who knows? We have so much stuff. We're sort of formulating the ideas for these things as we go along, really. But we do have a plan for a lot of other content coming out. George has already gone over all the socials already. I think we should just round this thing off. But this has been great. I want to say a big thank you to everyone that has jumped on so far. And yes, I do want to talk about the Bond things as we're going. You mentioned possibly a short review on Tuesday. I don't know if we'll get a Bad Batch review out on Tuesday, because we have Goldfinger, which is arguably one of the biggest Bond films out there. Continuing that retrospective on all the James Bond films. It's been great fun so far. I've been loving going through them. I know I'm only 2 films in, but I'm very much discovering these films as I go along with them. So that will be 8 p.m. on Tuesday. As always, you can expect a brand new Bond review every single Tuesday, all the way up until the lead up of No Time to Die. But yeah, I guess we round off. So big thank you to everyone that's jumped on tonight for this whole entire live stream. This was good fun. As I mentioned, trip down memory lane. But that'll do it for us. Until the next video, we'll see you guys next time. Take care, everyone.